Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. I just wanted to pop in real quick, let you guys know what we're doing tonight. This is another Saturday Night Shoot the Breeze. Thank you guys who support the show every week. Thanks to you guys who post topics for us to discuss. I really appreciate you. And so in tonight's show, we're going to be talking about child slaves in Ghana. We're going to be talking about more kids have, quote unquote, accidentally been given the job. We're going to talk about John Gruden a little bit, Chucky. We're going to talk about Judge Judy and some BS I guess she did the other day. We're going to talk about a black boy who was abused. I think he was abused in school. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. And lastly, we're going to talk about, actually not lastly, but we're going to talk about Randy Moss versus Jason Whitlock, who I call Jason Shitlock. We're going to talk about whatever is going on between those two. And lastly, if you remember last week when we did Shoot the Breeze, we ended just about the time when the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight was set to begin. And we all know the outcome. Spoiler alert, Wilder loses to this day. But we're going to talk about that. And there's an important vein of discussion to have about that. I see we have daily affirmations by Pauline saying good evening. If you're here, let folks know you're here. Just say good evening. If you can hear me and I sound good, type 1. Let me know that you can hear me and I'm sounding pretty clear. All right. So that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Okay. We will start the discussions on the other side of this. So you guys stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for tuning in tonight. As you know, I am your host, Koku. Let's get right into it, I guess. The first Shoot the Breeze topic. I'm by the way, shout out to all the other hosts on KWAZ Radio. I hope you guys are subscribing to their channels and tuning into their shows. I just was watching D Webb from the Harsh Reality Podcast doing their segment, the Harsh Reality Podcast Presents. He had Canon Hotep on, and it was a very interesting, very good conversation. So you guys should tune in to D-Web's show, the Harsh Reality Podcast with D-Web and El Miguel. And, enjoy the presentations that they put on. You should definitely be tuning into the Revolutionary Matron. And lastly, but not leastly, you should be tuning into Onita Say from the pro-black perspective. So the first prompt is up. The first prompt is about children in Ghana being treated as slaves in 2021. Now, there's a couple of things about this story that stands out. The way they do stuff is very interesting, and I hope you guys find it interesting too. Let me just load it up right now. Look at this. I hate that. Apparently, because I have an ad blocker up, they don't want to display the... I hate that. All right, let's see if I can work around this. So apparently in Ghana today, they have these children who are in modern day slavery around the Lake Volta area, right? While I'm talking, I'm also trying to find a YouTube video as well. Are you guys aware? You guys listening to me right now? And by the way, shout out to you folks who are listening in the playback. I know sometimes you cannot make it live, and so you're hearing the playback. I see there's certain folks who always kind of leave a comment or hit me up afterwards, discussing some aspect of the discussion that we had. And shout out to you guys as well. I appreciate all of you. In the chat room, I see we got Mchaka in the room. He says, shout out to the KWAZ listeners and entertaining commenters too. Cool. The learning curve is here. The learning curve with the Revolutionary Matron. So shout out to the Revolutionary Matron who's here as well. So let me read this story to you guys, since they give me a little bit of a issue here. It says, Lake Volta, a recent report by UNICEF and the International Labor Organization found that the number of children who are working around the world has risen for the first time in 2 decades. The study estimated that at the beginning of 2020, there were 160 million children working, almost half of them in quote-unquote hazardous work that directly endangers their health, safety, and moral development. All of the net increase in child labor was found in sub-Saharan Africa. All of the net increase in child labor was found in sub-Saharan Africa. More than 1 in 5 children in Africa is working. On a recent trip to Ghana, CBS News correspondent Deborah Pata witnessed children as young as 9 doing dangerous work in the fishing industry. Lake Volta's beauty is deceptive. These are troubled waters. Thousands of children fish in the vast man-made reservoir every day. Some are merely working in the family business, but many have been sold into modern-day slavery. Godwin labored on the lake for 5 years. Orphaned at 10, he was entrusted into the care of a man who promised to send him to school. Quote, I didn't know that I was going to fish, says Godwin. At first, he didn't even know how to swim. Inside the water, the type of place is deep, very deep, so I'm afraid to go down, he recalled. If he refused, he was beaten. I was afraid. I was thinking, I don't know when my life will end. So I said, let me run away. Eventually he escaped, Godwin was saved by Wallace, who was rescued more than 150 children through his undercover work for the international charity Love Justice. Pata, who's the reporter, and her CBS News team went to Lake Volta to see the conditions firsthand. They found rickety vessels filled with kids who have become adept at unraveling the fine mesh of fishing nets. When those nets snag on submerged tree branches, the kids are forced to dive deep into the murky water to untangle them. It's adult work made easier by exploiting agile bodies and tiny hands. On one boat manned by a child crew, the eldest said a 9-year-old helping with the work was his brother, but the two boys didn't even speak the same language. It was a red flag. Pata asked another little boy who, believe it or not, was named Freedom, where his mom was. He was also from far away, and he spoke a completely different language to the others on the boat. Within about half an hour, the CBS News team came across 4 boats with potential trafficking cases on board. Wallace said that was typical. After he identified Freedom as a possible victim of child slavery, he set to work gathering intelligence from sources in the boys' village. Weeks later, he confirmed the child had been trafficked, but it was too late to rescue him. He'd been moved on, a tactic modern slave owners use often to evade arrest. During CBS News' time at Lake Volta, Pata and her team never saw a single official from the police or the Ghanaian Navy, both of which are supposed to patrol the waters. The desperate, extreme, persistent poverty that pervades the entire region makes children very easy prey. And it's not just boys who are trafficked. Young girls are often forced to become domestic servants. Pata met 2 sisters who had been snatched near their family home. She sat down with them not long after they were rescued, and their eyes still told of horrors they could not speak out loud. Warnings of human trafficking abound in Ghana. There are posters all over urging people to be vigilant, but they don't serve as an effective deterrent, as Pata learned from one slave owner turned informant. The man told CBS News he would typically pay about $80 for a child. But it's a human life, Pata challenged him. You bought a child? Is that not slavery? That's how it is, he replied, with a shrug. He said that over 25 years, he'd bought thousands of children. The worst thing he ever did as a modern slave owner, he said, was to force a child who didn't know how to swim to dive to the bottom of the lake. Some, he said, would go down and never come back up. So many children have died in Lake Volta, but it's an ongoing tragedy with many layers. The former trafficker Pata met was a victim himself. His own father sold him into slavery, he said. The child slave became the master. Godwin refuses to go that route. Quote, I wanted to go to school so that I could become someone. I didn't want to do fishing work, he told Pata. As for the man who tricked him into slavery, Godwin remarkably harbors no ill will. Quote, he has to be punished, but I forgive him. End of quote, he said. Unearned forgiveness from a boy whose childhood was stolen on Lake Volta. But maybe this time at least, the cycle has been broken. Modern day slavery, modern day child slavery. In this time, in these days, right? What do you guys think of that news story that I just read? What do you guys think of that news story that I just read? As a matter of fact, while you guys type your thoughts, I think I found a video that was attached to the article. I'm going to display the video as well, and then I'll read your comments on the other side. BB Rodriguez is here. Daily Affirmation by Pauline says, unbelievable and horrific. Jacadero Asaway says, that's horrific, and peace, Baba Koku. Peace to you, Jacadero. Thanks for being here tonight. Let me share this screen here. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. That's not it. Sorry about that. And I'm gonna drop the invite link in a minute. So if you want to hop on and have your voice heard during the broadcast, you can do that as well. And just so you know, I think some folks might not know, this doesn't require you to download any software. Just click the link. It's a web browser based thing. Click the link and you can join in the discussion. That's not the right one. Let me find the right one again. Sorry about this. Yeah, that's it. All right. So I'm going to play that. You guys type in your messages and I'll play this in the meantime.
Welcome back to CBS Morning's recent report highlights the shocking growth of child labor around the world. It shows between 2016 and 2020, the number of working children rose for the first time in 2 decades to 160 million. In Africa, more than 1 in 5 children works. In the West African country of Ghana, Deborah Patta saw kids working in the fishing industry under very troubling conditions.
The beauty of Lake Volta is deceptive. These are troubled waters. Thousands of children are fishing here. Some work in the family business. Many have been sold into modern-day slavery. Godwin labored on this lake for 5 years. Orphaned at 10, he was entrusted into the care of a man who promised to send him to school.
I didn't know that I was going to fish.
And at first, he didn't know how to swim.
Inside the water, they said the place is deep. Maybe that
Very
place
deep.
Yeah, deep. So I'm afraid to go down.
If he refused, he was beaten.
I was afraid. I was thinking, I don't know where my life will end that time. So I was there and I said, let me run away.
Eventually, he did escape, saved by Wallace, who works undercover and has rescued over 150 children for an international charity. We went out on the lake to see for ourselves. Rickety vessels filled with kids, adept at unraveling the fine mesh, and when those nets snag on submerged tree branches, they're forced to dive deep into the murky waters to untangle them. Adult work made easier by exploiting agile bodies and tiny hands. The eldest here claims the 9-year-old boy on this boat is his brother.
Well, how come the two brothers don't speak the same language?
That's what I'm telling you, that some of the language barrier. You see?
Something odd.
It's a red flag. Another little boy, believe it or not, called Freedom.
Freedom? Where's your mom?
He too is from far away and speaks a completely different language to the others on the boat.
Within the space of half an hour, we've already come across 4 boats in which there could be potential trafficking.
Yes.
Do you see this often?
Yeah, we see this often. So, but when we see that, we come back to do our underground investigation.
Wallace gathers intel from sources in Freedom's village. Weeks later, he confirms the child had been trafficked, but it was too late to rescue him. He'd been moved, a tactic slave owners used to evade arrest.
During this entire time, we haven't seen a single official from either the police or the Navy who is supposed to be patrolling this water.
And so, children are easy prey.
Why do you think there is so much trafficking in this area?
It's due to poverty.
And poverty is all around us here, desperate, extreme, persistent. It's not just boys who are trafficked. These sisters were snatched near their family home, only recently rescued. Their eyes tell of horrors they could not speak out loud. Warnings of trafficking abound, but they're not a deterrent, as we found out from this slave owner turned informant.
How much did you pay for a child?
500 Ghana.
That's about $80.
But it's a human life. You bought a child. Is that not slavery?
That's how it is, he shrugs. Over 25 years, he's bought thousands of children.
What's the worst thing you ever did as a slave owner?
Forcing a kid who doesn't know how to swim to dive to the bottom of the lake, he told us. They could go down and never come up. So many children have died here. But there is another dreadful truth to hear.
You were sold into slavery?
By my father, he tells us. The child slave has become the master. Godwin refuses to go that route.
I wanted to go to school so that I become someone. I didn't want to do fishing work.
He harbors no bitterness towards his abuser.
He has to be punished, but I forgive him.
How are you able to forgive him, Godwin? Such a hard time.
The unearned forgiveness of a boy whose childhood was stolen on this lake. Maybe this time the cycle has been broken. For CBS Mornings, Deborah Patter, Lake Volta, Ghana.
Unearned forgiveness is a very good way to describe it. I can't get over hearing that the slave owner was also trafficked himself as a child. You would think that that would be the last thing he would want to do to others, since he knows how horrible it is.
Children, they are the purest form of humanity.
Exactly.
We have to protect them at all costs.
160 million in that form of slavery, and you see the resilience if you can get them out of it.
Yes.
Deborah Patta for us. Powerful story there.
So, did you guys peep what they did there, though? Did you guys peep what they did there, though? They have this white woman questioning this African. Now we're going to touch on these Africans in a second, right? These continental Africans in a second. But they have this white woman grilling this African, as if these white folks, and if I'm not mistaken, she had some kind of European accent. They're gonna act like what these folks are doing, which doesn't seem quite like chattel slavery, but slavery all the same. She's gonna act like, oh, these Africans are so dastardly, as if her ancestors weren't the worst of the worst, right? Let me go through the comments here. I saw some comments piling up as we were doing it. Like I said, I posted the link. If you want to hop on, have your voice heard during the show, you can do that. Just click the link. Doesn't require you to download any software or anything. It's all browser based. You can do it from your phone, from your computer. It's all good. Bibi Rodriguez is here. Bibi Rodriguez says, I said it on a panel 2 weeks ago that the crimes committed by West Africans 160 years ago are revisiting them. The diasporan descendants must get a Truth and Reconciliation Council together ASAP. There definitely needs to be some constructive. I agree with Bibi here. Bibi has been championing this thought since I've made her acquaintance on the Learning Curve show. But West Africans, some will say they have already, but something deeper needs to be achieved by West Africans in particular towards the diaspora. I just have to agree with that at this point. And something they got to do amongst themselves too. They got to purge some. This is why this talk about spirituality and all that stuff. African spirituality, which has been a recent conversation on Twitter, actually. I see we have someone hopped on. Let me add them to the stream. Openga, how are you doing?
Peace, brother. Peace, everybody else.
Peace.
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So you had something to say about this prompt?
It's tough. Just like I said, that's a horrific situation to be in. It's one that, as I'm assuming that we'll get into more of the conversation for tonight, it's something that's all too common right now, and it's been like that since, unfortunately, since the end of colonization and the independence of a lot of these African nations, and even maybe in some of the Caribbean nations. It's you know, like when I watch a clip like that, you know, the reality is that you have way too many of these situations where the master looks just like you, and like you had pointed out, you know, it might not be chattel slavery, but it's slavery nonetheless. I don't want to go on a tangent, so I'll let you continue to do your thing, and then
Okay,
we'll get
so
into it as.
okay, but I'm glad you're here. So you could jump in whenever I throw it to you, you could comment as well. So just hang in there, all right?
Yes,
so Zuliism is here. Zuliism says this forgiveness shit is a tragedy, but at least they got technology. That's a reference to a show from the Learning Curve a couple weeks back, where a brother from Kenya said that colonization was good because it gave Africans technology. To continue, Zulism says we lost their worst on the continent. Instead of fighting the evil corruption, they rather prey on the weak ones. So what we're seeing from the continent is really it's an issue of continuing what the colonizer laid down, which means that there really was no independence. It just was a switch, as Otenga just said. It really was just a switch to a blackface carrying out the atrocities that these folks were carrying out before. And so what does that mean for the African? That means that the African is going to rethread the things that the colonizers were doing as well. Child slavery? Yeah, we're going to do that too. You know what I mean? Tribal divides? Yeah, we're going to continue that too. Et cetera, et cetera. Bibi Rodriguez says, we, the 350 million descendant diasporans scattered in Europe, Caribbean, Central, and South Americas, and America, have been lied and betrayed. No alliance can be made with these people until there's repair. Daily Affirmation by Pauline says, so sad. Something has to be done by the United Nations. The United Nations ain't shit. The United Nations is just saying America, essentially, Europe, right? And by now, not to be harsh, but by now, black folks should understand that the UN is not, is not their ally, right? Bibi Rodriguez says that's nothing new. He's been trafficked. That's why none of them speak the same language. Absolutely. These guys, Bibi goes on to say, when I asked a West African NGO based in London, why do West Africans keep betraying themselves and countrymen? They looked horridly embarrassed. These people are disgusting and without remorse. Bibi asks the question, who named him Freedom? Yeah, the fact that you named that kid Freedom means that you know what you're on. You know what you're doing, right? Daily Affirmation says to Bibi Rodriguez, his name is Freedom and he isn't free. That's like the old thing about black folks saying that they were from kings and they were chiefs and all that kind of stuff. And so the French called him Leroy, which is why Leroy was such a popular name amongst black folks for a while there, right? It means the king. They're mocking you, essentially. Bibi Rodriguez says, meanwhile, Gail and co-hosts going to act like this is halfway normal. And she says, Bibi says she's over here raging. Yeah, this is a absolute travesty that we have African people carrying on the work of their colonizer. And again, it's not to say that slavery is something that wasn't on the continent before the Europeans arrived. It wasn't chattel slavery. It was more so like indentured servitude. But the reality of it is that to carry it on today, knowing what has happened, knowing that there's so-called diasporans out there. Why are there diasporans out there? Because of what happened during the Ma'afa. You shouldn't be carrying on this type of stuff. That's just the reality. Well, Teng, you have anything else you want to add to this?
No, not at the moment. No.
Okay. All right. So that's that prompt. You guys should be dropping whatever last thoughts you have on it before I move on, because I will move on as we have other prompts to deal with tonight. This second prompt is revisiting, in some ways, a prompt that we discussed last week, right? So it seems like there's no more for the first prompt, so let's go to the second prompt. But my last word on that first prompt too is, we could talk about politics, we could talk about culture, we could talk about African spirituality and all this stuff. At the end of the day, in fact, we could talk about economics too. At the end of the day, we got to start being real about the situation. And the situation is that we're not controlling stuff. The question you have to really ask is, this guy who's buying children for $80 a pop and fishing in this area, Lake Volta, that's supposed to be patrolled by the police, supposed to be patrolled by the Navy, why isn't there patrols? It tells me that persons in power are calling off the patrols, right? Persons in power are not going after these slave traders and slave masters, so to speak, on the continent. And my question is, who's the person who's throwing around that power and preventing these investigations to happen and preventing the patrolling from happening? Those are the questions you always have to ask. Who are these folks? Who are these children fishing for? Are they fishing for local communities, or are they part of a fishing industry that's much larger than, say, a local village? So we have to ask these questions, like, who's earning the money behind the scenes? Usually the little guy who in this story here is trader, right? Usually, Otenga, I just muted your mic because there's some noise coming from your side. So if you could mute your mic, that'll be good. This way this way you can speak whenever you want to speak without me having to throw it to you all the time. Who's follow the paper? Who's making that money? And we got to start to be real about this thing. We have been corrupted. I don't care what no one says. We have been corrupted, and we need to deal with the corruption that's within us as well. We could talk about all these different areas, but we got to start dealing with the heart of the matter, that is the corruption within us, right? Shoot Debris' second topic is up on the screen. The second topic is 2 more children were quote-unquote accidentally given COVID vaccine at Walmart. Now, this story, when I got it, also had this prompt also had an attached story to it. So let me pull up the story. I don't think there's any video here, but I'll share the screen for you guys to see the story itself. Mr. Untouchable is here saying what's up to me and blessings to the chat. What's up to you? What's up with you, Mr. Untouchable? How's everything going? Let's share this screen here. So you guys should be able to see this now. 2 children accidentally given COVID-19 vaccines at Walgreens, both now suffering from heart issues. And if you remember, I read a story last week that talked about one child who was at was it Walgreens again? Could have been Walgreens as well. Yeah, I think it was Walgreens. There was a child at Walgreens who received a full adult dose of the vaccine and had some heart issues afterwards. And here it is happening again. You know, here it is happening again. So let's read this. 2 children were given the COVID-19 vaccine instead of the flu shot and now have heart issues. 2 young children were, quote unquote, accidentally given the COVID-19 vaccine instead of flu shots at a Walgreens in Indiana, according to local media. Now both are experiencing heart issues, according to the pediatrician. A family in Evansville, Indiana, went to a local Walgreens to have each member, including 2 young children, receive a flu shot. During the appointment, all members of the party, including the 2 children, were accidentally, quote unquote, accidentally given full adult doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. According to the family's lawyer, the children, 4 and 5 years old, were born in 2016 and 2017, as revealed by the vaccination cards provided to the family by Walgreens. After the alleged vaccine mix-up, both children are now experiencing signs of heart issues, according to their pediatrician. The younger child is sick with a cough and fever, according to the report by KWTX. Myocarditis, a heart condition involving fluid accumulating near the heart, has been found to be a rare side effect of the Pfizer vaccine, but seems to grow more common in younger male individuals. Adverse reactions to the vaccines seem to become far less likely the older the person who receives it becomes, according to current medical research. The family said they left the pharmacy thinking they had received their flu shots, but a Walgreens employee later called them and said they had made a mistake. The attorney said the cards were then issued since the coronavirus vaccine had been given. The local news agency attempted to comment from Walgreens regarding the matter, but has not received a response. This comes as the pharmaceutical giant Pfizer is seeking to gain FDA emergency use authorization to vaccinate children ages 5 to 11, according to multiple reports. As National File reported, a recently released CDC dataset detailing provisional COVID deaths by age from January 1st, 2020 to September 15, 2021, appear to show that less child deaths were linked to COVID in that time frame than would have died from the flu in a typical year, right? So, based on the reporting here, right, Pfizer is still pushing for the vaccine to be pushed on 5 to 11-year-old kids, right? But the issue there is, Mr. Untouchable joins the panel. I'm going to put you on mute for a second. The issue there is, though, that clearly children 5 and 6 are not responding well to this vaccine. Now some can say it's because it's an adult dose, and I guess they may attenuate it for children, but that right there will tell me maybe we shouldn't push this on kids, small kids like that, right? BB Rodriguez says, interesting facts. She keeps calling me Kwaku. The name is Koku. K-O-K-O-U. A child is bought in Ghana region for $80. My 2 times great-grandmother was bought for $1,200. Her owner was paid $300 in 1864 for setting her free. Okay. Daily affirmation by Pauline was about to say something, but she stopped short there. Let's welcome Mr. Untouchable to the panel. Mr. Untouchable, how are you today?
Respect, Koku, respect to the chat. I figure you and Matron, you all always doing something positive, so I think it's our responsibility to at least contribute whether by texting or just giving our voices to what you all do. So I'm out to come on and support my brethren, you know?
Yeah, man. I appreciate that, man. Let me throw it to Otango. Otango, you have anything to say about this prompt where children were given adult doses of the jab?
No, nothing to add.
Mr. Untouchable?
When I hear this, I'm reminded of a book I read a long time ago. I think it's called Medical Apartheid.
Mm-hmm.
And in Medical Apartheid, they talked about how these scientific racism, how a lot of times people were getting kidnapped, and a lot of these so-called intellectual medical people was experimenting on black people back in the day, giving them all kind of different medicines and things of that nature. And you fast forward that in 2021, I think it's still going on. I don't think it was a mistake. You know, I think that only God knows what the child was really given. You know, no one really knows. They might say it's COVID vaccines, but you don't know, man. You know, you have some very wicked people here in professional industries, and they'll take risks and do anything with kids, man. I don't trust them. that's my contribution to it.
Yeah, I don't trust them either. I'm going to piggyback on what you just said. I agree. There's an old saying that says, so let me see if I can remember it correctly. It says, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, right? Something along those lines. Basically, like in this scenario, it's just better to jab them up or whatever you want to jab them up with. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards say, oh, my bad.
My bad.
You know, but since we did it already, let's take down some data.
Yeah, sure. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens, right? Yo, these people are sick, man. These people are sick.
Yes, man. Yes.
And so this is why you have to be so vigilant if you have children out here. You had to be on top of your game out here. Now, the parents, I'm not saying they weren't vigilant. You know, what's in a needle, what's being pulled from a syringe, from a bottle, you're not certain. But as parents, we have to be super vigilant. Me personally, I wouldn't take my 4, 5, 6-year-old to get a flu shot. I just wouldn't do it. I mean, their immune systems are pretty good at that age. And, you know, that flu shot stuff was really more so for older people, if I'm not mistaken. Bibi Rodriguez says all the children from the move in Philly bodies were being illegally used by a Pennsylvania medical school. They never gave the families the children's bodies. Know who you're dealing with. So that's new information for me. I didn't know. So if you're not familiar, in Philadelphia back in like 1985, there was this group of black folks who were basically like Rastafarians. They were called the Move Organization. They followed a fellow named, I think his name was John Africa. I think that was their leader. And Philadelphia PD bombed them, literally bombed them. They used fire to kind of burn them out. They shot them as they ran out of the compound that they were in. And children died, adults died. In fact, one of the people who was there who got imprisoned for like 30 years or something, I think she died the other day, as a matter of fact. Daily Affirmation by Pauline says, I don't believe young children should get the flu shot, but we never know what we are given. Absolutely. Mr. Untouchable, you were, I don't think you were here for the first prompt. Did you catch the first prompt?
No, I didn't catch it. I'm just getting in.
Yeah, so the first prompt, just to bring you up to speed, the first prompt was about kids in Ghana, child slavery in Ghana today. Young kids being used to basically deep lake, because it's not a sea, it's Lake Victoria. So they're deep lake diving to clear away snags on the nets, fishing nets and stuff like that. Sometimes they're sent down there. They can't swim, and they never come back up. And it's kind of like, the guy who's doing it, the so-called slave master, he's a black African guy doing this stuff too. He says he buys children for like $80 a child, and they have these children doing all this fishing.
But you know, I'm sorry for interrupting you, brother.
No,
you know what though? What I see with that scenario just now is, for me, that's a governmental problem. Because if I know the children of my country are being mistreated like that, then I'm supposed to step in. But you live in the Caribbean, Koku. You know what? You know how it happens in our country. If you pay off a governmental official, these guys, black or white, you know what I mean? They'll get away with murder. You just pay a governmental official off, and it goes under the rug. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Yeah, that's the vibes. Because because I showed a video story of it, and in the story they said that like that lake is supposed to be patrolled by the Navy, supposed to be patrolled by the Ghanaian Navy and stuff like that, and police, and no one patrols. So
Because
someone
they
is
take
paying them to
blind eye
turn.
to it.
Yeah, someone's paying them to turn away from it, right?
Sure,
To turn their heads from it.
Sure.
So you have to follow the money.
Follow the money. Follow the money.
Follow the money. Now that doesn't absolve any black African person from being involved in it, of course. But there's something larger abound here, and this is what we got to figure out. When we talk about figuring out how to change our destiny, we have to figure out how to create systems that support our people and punish our people when they step out of line, right? That's the thing that we have to figure out.
And also I just want to comment on the first topic about
Go ahead, Osengo.
the child trafficking. There was a story this week, not even a story, just a viral tweet or a viral thread, I think some people saw on Twitter, where there was like a black influencer, a woman, checked into a Washington, D.C. hotel, and she knew from the get-go that something wasn't right because she was being watched by two black individuals, a man and a woman. This was, I think, after 10 p.m. at night that she checked into the hotel. She got on the phone immediately with her friend, just to at least let her know and make her aware of what she was feeling at the time. She checked in, and then she says that in the thread that around 1 a.m. she went to go take a shower, and she could hear somebody trying to get into her room. Actually, she said that if it wasn't for the doorstop that was inside the room, they would have been able to get in, and they were screaming the lines of like, open this door with explicitives. She got out of the shower, and then she pushed the door back to close, and I guess that's when this person had ran away. But she got her clothes on, and she went to the front desk, and the front desk stated that, it must have been housekeeping at 1 a.m. Now, besides all I know there's so many levels of questions that we all might have after hearing the story. When I read it, I had so many questions, but the main thing is that according to, I don't remember which source it was, but the last time that I looked up the missing persons list in America, they said that African Americans are at least 75,000 people have been missing among the African American community. And they said out of that, individuals that have been abducted or have been human trafficked state that it's oftentimes it's people that look like them that will lure them in. So this is a global problem, and this is, like Koku says, this is a systemic problem. It's something that we really got to say to ourselves: why is it that our people are choosing to become enslavers, abductors, and people that are the middleman in these horrific and disgusting projects of human trafficking?
Thank you, Otenga. Yeah, absolutely. We know it's about making paper. We know it's about making bread. making money. But the thing for me is that there should be some scruples, and we need to see more scruples coming from the continent too. There needs to be people who say, you know what, I get it. I might have to work a little bit harder. Because like in the story, Mr. Untouchable wasn't here, so I'll just repeat this part. In the story, they were talking about how like those nets and stuff that they work with, they're suited basically for smaller hands to kind of untangle them and to repair them and stuff like that. More agile people. And so children fit, you know, children check off all those check marks, right? But so it means to say that it's a job that adults can do. Just take your grown self out there and work, man. You know, some scruples supposed to step in there and say, hey, I'm not going to have these children destroyed, right? You know, dying, etc. Like, we got to do better. You know, Mr. Untouchable, do you want to add any last thing to that prompt?
No, I agree. I think that that there should be scruples. I think that and I don't want to put this to a place where we looking at the situation with Western eyes.
Right.
But I do know that that we in the West tend to infantilize what we consider to be children at a certain age. That we tend and sometimes, you know, in the East, they might not they look at, they don't necessarily have child labor laws. Let me put it like that. Where we have had a long history of child labor laws, they don't have that there. So they are what we perceive to be they're exploited. Even though even the kids may say, and even the parents of some of the children may say, well, he's bringing home some money for us. He's helping us feed our family. You know what I mean? So the discussion really is nuanced, but I do agree. I think that someone should step in and say, this is not the way. You know, let's do it a different way. I do agree. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Untouchable. I appreciate that comment. Yeah, it's because like what you find, like even in the story I played, a lot of the children, they don't speak the same language, so they're not from the same region. So that's some African parent elsewhere is either having the children abducted or they're selling them because maybe they feel like they can't handle the burden or something. But we gotta find, I mean, and this is the solutions. And again, I gotta look at these African leaders. I think like Mr. Untouchable pointed out, you gotta look at these leaders on the continent. Folks gotta get some morals about them, you know, some principles about them. You cannot be allowing folks to in these numbers to be selling off children into God knows what kind of slavery. Because we're just talking about fishing in this example, but you know that there's sex trafficking, that kind of stuff going on.
Definitely,
you know?
definitely, yes.
So this second prompt was about this vaccine. I think we kind of covered that pretty well in terms of you got to be vigilant. These folks don't care about people, period, and they definitely don't care about our period, our people, twice as much. So you got to be very careful in these times. You have to be vigilant, and you have to push back a little against some of the stuff that's going on, because the old adage is if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Yes.
And so we're facing something here where if you're not careful, folks will be pushing any old shit on you in the near future. And that's the thing. We as Black folks especially don't want to be in a place where folks can just push any old thing. If they're pushing any old thing on their own people, imagine what they're going to push on us,
Yes.
Yeah, so that takes me, I guess we've done that prompt pretty well.
Oh, one last thing, Kofi.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the kid situation, and because you have a lot of children also being abducted as well. I think that someone talked about the fact that I think that 75,000 people are missing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because when they get discovered, they get discovered with no organs found in them. Sometimes they may even be found with not even a brain might be missing. You know what I mean? So like you say, these people are serious. They desperate, and someone would ask why. You know, because a liver might cost $20,000 and a human heart might cost $50,000. These people will do it for the dough, man. They would do it for the dough. Believe you.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So yeah, you're spot on. That's true. And just this week, I saw something on Twitter where a guy was in jail and he died, and all of a sudden his organs were missing. You know, this is serious. If I remember correctly, melanin, the thing that we talk a lot about, melanin popping and all that kind of stuff. Melanin is like $600 an ounce or something like that, right?
Wow. I didn't know they monetize it. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Melanin is worth over $445 a gram.
Wow.
Melanin is worth more than gold.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, we got to be serious about what. So someone estimated that the average black person has almost $40 million worth of it in their body. You know?
That's crazy.
Yeah, we have to be serious about what's going on around us. But this next prompt I have up, the third prompt for tonight, is thoughts on John Gruden, NFL coach who resigned over leaked emails. Thoughts on whether his mindset is prevalent or isolated in the NFL. Do you believe this mindset occurs in high schools? It's untouchable. I'll let you tackle that first.
You gotta let me know what he said. I don't know what he said.
Oh, you don't know? Hold on.
No.
Let me find a news page. My bad on that.
Yeah. Mr. Untouchable, it's okay. You're really not missing too much. You're not missing too much, but just for the purpose of Baba Koku, man, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about this. But it shouldn't surprise you about what he said.
Yeah, it's standard. Apparently Azuliism is trying to get in, but I don't see. Oh, I see it now. Sorry about that, Azuliism. Azuliism kind of put me in my place just now. You let me in or what? Yeah, I'll lay in. Come on. Azuliism is on the panel now.
Respect, Azuli. Respect.
What's up, guys?
This dude was like, did this guy treat me like his woman or something like that? You gonna let me in or what?
He left that way. He popping that way. He feels strong, you see?
Yeah, he feels strong, you see? He out there like, you gonna let me in or what? Nah. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Azuliism.
Cool.
Let me find the New York Times post that was accompanied with this prompt. And again, I want to thank Daily Affirmations by Pauline for these prompts we've been discussing so far. And you guys make sure to check out her channel. Check out on Instagram and Facebook. She always has something positive to say every day. You want to check out what she's putting down, all right? I keep forgetting these New York Times and stuff articles are always behind a ad block. Just give me a second, guys. Gunnar, I'm sorry, Azuliism, are you familiar with what John Gruden did?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I might have a contrarian take to it, a different take to it. But he said he called the NFL, the union leader of the NFL player. He said he had like lips like Michelin tires or something like that. And then he said some homophobic things after that and some misogynist stuff. That's what they said. But my take on that is that, first of all, I'm not sticking up for John Gruden or nothing like that.
Right.
I think what they really want to concentrate on is on the homophobic part and the misogynist part. And then they threw the big lips thing, because when you look at the email, he doesn't use the N-word, he doesn't use this and that and the third. And one question, did you know that union leader that he spoke about has been letting the black players been finessed by the NFL for like 20 years?
No, I didn't know that.
That guy has done nothing. That's why NFL players don't have the NFL player don't have what's that? Their contract is not guaranteed. This guy, yes, we could say that Gruden said something racist or whatever if you want to say that, but he didn't use the N-word or anything like that. Saying the guy has big lips or whatever, that could be that's a definition of black people, I guess. But black people use that shit against each other all the time. I'm not defending Gruden. What I'm saying is that all the NFL, we all know this is a racist institution anyway.
Yeah.
So the question is to ask, why are they bringing him up like that? These emails have gone since 10 years ago. So why are they coming out now? That's the question. Why are they coming out now? Or did he do something against y'all that y'all don't like? All of a sudden, now y'all want to put him out? Where y'all emails at? Where's the reach on emails? Did you check them on there? That's what I want to see. What's the email that said, "Oh, Gruden, you shouldn't describe this man like that"?
So while you're talking here, I'm trying to find.
But that was the main thing. He in the email they didn't say he didn't use any racial epithet, but he did say the guy had big lips like Michelin tires or something like that.
Yeah. He said that the brother had big lips. How this even came about, I don't know if many of you know this. I'm sure that Coco will bring out the article that he's gonna read from. But the investigation started because they were investigating the Washington football team, and the NFL was investigating the Washington football team just because of they had some sources that said that they were being unethical in their conduct with their front office and players. So they were just investigating on emails on, I think, one of the executives for the front office of the Washington football team, and then found that there was an exchange for a long period of time between John Gruden and one of the front office people from the Washington football team. John Gruden, I don't believe at the time was a coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, so what came into light was, the big lips comment. It's just like, I expect, just like everybody in this chat, I expect Wazungu to be Wazungu. Like, it's just, okay, yeah, great. You think I have big lips? You have little lips. Okay, get out of my face. But just like you had said is, the one thing that the thing that they thought that could at least get this out into the forefront of media and become the headlines for sports articles was him calling the NFL commissioner a faggot.
Right.
which is pretty funny because it's like a, whenever I hear that word, it's like, something that teenagers use. So, John Gruden, he looks like he's above 45. So like, when I saw that he called him that, I was like, well, clearly there's something between him and the NFL commissioner. It sounds like they don't like each other that much, but he resorted to calling him something that I would hear like teenagers call each other. But yeah, where if your question is like why did this come about, it really just stemmed from NFL's investigation on the Washington football team, and then they just happened to find that there was emails with John Gruden. It could have been any other coach. It just so happened that John Gruden's email exchange with this one person from the Washington football team was the.
I don't believe so. So they want to tell me they're gonna focus on John Gruden. Where the racist email with the Washington Redskins that when they didn't want to change the name? Where those emails at?
This is a good question because the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, Derek Carr, said, I think a lot of eyebrows are going to be raised once we start opening up the emails of a lot of NFL coaches, of a lot of NFL personnel, of a lot of NFL front desk. Why, I'm not, he said, just like anybody else, I'm disappointed with the way that he acted, but I think it behooves us to think that it's only John Gruden. So yeah, just like you, I think this even goes beyond just NFL. I think just any major sports league in the West, they operate in the same way. Like the NFL had to put in a Rooney Rule. For those that don't know, the Rooney Rule is a rule that says when they hire a coach or any upper management personnel in the NFL, they have to consider somebody of one of the minority races in the interview process. But why would you need that rule in the first place? You know, like with a league that is over 90% black. I don't know. So it's like you said, NFL racist anyway. So I don't think that this comes as a surprise for a lot of us.
So,
go ahead, Coco.
Let me just quickly read this NPR article for those who are not fully aware. John Gruden resigned following news reports that he used derogatory language in emails dating back to 2011. The emails surfaced during a probe into workplace misconduct at the Washington Football Club, which is exactly what our brother Otenga was saying, right? So that's how it came up. And I understand Erzuli's point. We're going to talk about that in a second. John Gruden resigned last night as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and it's not because his team is losing. Years worth of emails surfaced in which Gruden used racist, misogynistic, and homophobic language. Gruden is a big name in the NFL. He led Tampa Bay to a Super Bowl victory back in 2003. By the way, he used a team that a black guy put together the year before, but that's not mentioned here. He was also a popular TV football analyst, etc. So she's having a interview here, but that gives you exactly what Otenga was saying, that this was a larger probe into the guy, I think it's Dan Snyder from the Washington football team, formerly the Redskins. And that's when this stuff came up. The thing to note, which is what I want to get across too during this prompt. The thing to note is that when it was racist comments, you big lip beast and all that old shit, it was people defending him. I don't think he's racist. In fact, Tony Dungy was one of those people. The other little small black fellow who used to call games was one of those people. Stephen A. Smith was on some BS as well. And then as soon as it came out that it was that there were homophobic statements being made, that's when he was really seriously under threat of being fired. That's when he resigned. And that's when guys like Stephen A. Smith the next day came on and said, oh, his career is over. And it's funny that this happened at this time because Dave Chappelle just dropped his latest stand-up special, The Closer, on Netflix. And Dave Chappelle, it was okay as far as humor, but it was more so poignant about this point, which is that the gay community, the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ group, they tend to make all the shit about themselves. And so it's this thing where they can be racist, but you can't say nothing to them because they're gay, right? They've created this totem pole of oppression, essentially. And Dave Chappelle in his special is basically saying you're punching down on black folks all the time, But to bring it back to this conversation, Erzuliism, you want to add something else about your thoughts on what happened with John Gruden this past week? Are you still there?
Yeah, well, the thing I wanted to say with the John Gruden situation is that I'm not saying that I'm not trying to defend John Gruden. That's not the thing. What I want to focus on is what you just said. When they found out it was the big lip thing, right? He wasn't going to lose his job for that. So I think they always use us for their fight, and then they dump us.
Mm-hmm.
So they use the big lip thing because they know black people are going to get riled up about the situation and stuff like that. Meanwhile, like the brother just said, let's pull out all the emails then. Don't just pull out his email. If y'all was investigation, the Washington Redskins, we all know the Washington Redskins for years, they didn't want to change that racist or whatever name that they had. Mm-hmm. They were forced to. So I know there's a bunch of emails talking about, Indian this, Indian that, and whatever. But what I saw is that when like you just said, when they said he was he made a caricature joke about the guy's big lips. He's not. They didn't fire him for that. But then when he said stuff about the gay community, it's over. He got to go. So I think also they had it in for John Gruden. I'm not a John Gruden fan or whatever, and I'm done with all these players. All these NFL players are just weak men. Start with even Randy Moss crying like a little, I don't want to say, versus the other guy I was crying because of that statement, and then wanting to fight a black man.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at nothing John Gruden said. And as a matter of fact, I think he should be promoted instead of resigning. Yeah, he should be promoted into the back office. Yeah. I know that the homosexual community is a protected class in the United States, just like the Asians. You know, people don't want to say that, but they're a protected class. Yep. Now, how they got that way, that's another matter. Mm-hmm. But for me, the idea that there are millionaires and multi-millionaires on these teams, basketball, NFL, baseball teams, or whatever, and they have not collectively got themselves together to create some kind of situation where they have their own league. People come to the stadiums to watch the players, the labor force. So if the labor force don't understand the reason why our NFL, so-called NFL, is so successful, is because of our labor, it's their fault. So this white daddy, or whatever you want to call him, he deserved the right to call you any names he want to call you because you ain't acting as an adult. Adults do adult things, which means they create situations for themselves where they could, take care of their families and do the things they need to do. What's stopping these big grown men from creating multi-millionaires, by the way, generational wealth, from creating their own situation for themselves and staying on the football plantation or basketball plantation and getting taken shots at by these white owners is on them. So I say he should be promoted. That's my position on that.
And let's not forget the guy they defending, the NFL Player Association union leader, stood by and let Kaepernick lose his job. Mm-hmm. This guy that we defending in the back, he does got big lips. And I'm not defending anybody. When Michael Vick, all these black players got railroaded, he didn't say anything. When black players was doing celebration, were getting suspended, he didn't say anything. When black players were having the CT scan, the issue and the problem, he knew about it.
Yeah, CT, yeah.
The issue with the head collision now, all of a sudden, because they were getting sued too much. This guy he's just a paycheck holder. Like you just said, he didn't push back at the NFL owners for not giving the players certain stuff. He was their man. He was the gatekeeper. But not because John Gruden got his bum at. Now people, no, I don't care about him. What really kills me right now is Randy Moss and a crying grown man because the white men said, "Really? That's what you want to cry about?"
We gonna get to Randy Moss in a bit.
But I'm just saying, it's all part of the thing. Yeah. I'm just disappointed, man. I don't know. I might be a contrarian. People might say, John Gruden, whatever he say, and.
BB Rodriguez in the chat said something I was going to mention earlier too. She says, I'll refer you all to read the book $40 Million Slaves. All the black men on all these leagues are acting powerless. Hence, Kyrie's decision to think independently. Before I started the show, I was like, I should have added the Kyrie prompt to this too, and I'm going to add it here actually because I think it's related in a sense. So we have all these guys like Stephen A. Smith, who one day he's saying he's kind of defending Gruden. And then when the homophobic stuff hit that night, the next morning he's like, John Gruden's career is over. And the thing that I'm noticing more and more is that when you talk about $40 million slaves, it's not just the players, it's these ex-players and these black talking heads like Stephen A. Smith and stuff. These dudes are actual slaves too. Stephen A. Smith played a role in Kaepernick not getting a job again. And he's playing a role in Kyrie Irving getting potentially blackballed if he's not careful out here.
And also,
yeah, go ahead.
Let's not forget Kwame Brown.
Yeah.
Stephen Marbury just released a thing where he said that Stephen A. Smith was getting his stories from Larry Brown, the coach, to get at players and would not name his sources. Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, they're all the same.
Yep.
All these people are working for network that probably the owners own parts of.
Yep.
And a lot of these, I was watching Michael Vick. They asked Michael Vick, name your top 5 quarterbacks. Did you know that he named all Caucasian players and not even one black player and not even himself?
He's the biggest tap dancer. He's a bigger tap dancer than Fred Astaire right now. Right? It might be they beat that black man so bad with that dog stuff and that jail time. He's just a tap dancing fool right now.
2 years? And it's not even him because he's 2 years. And then this man comes out, Michael Vick, one of the most talented, physically, best, a good throwing arm. He has the nerve to say, when they ask him, all these NFL players, this is why I don't watch them anymore. I don't pay attention to it like that anymore. All these black NFL players are bought and sold.
Yep.
If you ask a black quarterback, who is they're going to tell you, okay, I'm not saying Tom Brady's not a great quarterback, but let's look at how you create a whole playbook for him.
Mm-hmm.
The whole league, the rules, all of them are geared towards immobile quarterback. All of a sudden now, when the white quarterbacks are running, oh yes, athletic. But so this is where they come from. This whole football shit. You want to come at John Gruden is this and that? Stop. Show me all the other emails. Show me the commissioner's emails. The only mistake that John Gruden did was talking on he should have sent a DM instead of they're gonna do him the same way they did the LA Clipper owner. The same thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to be mistreated. Create your own institutions where you could create your own rules so you don't get mistreated. This is what adult men do. So I am, like I say, man, these guys could cry from the rooftops about how their white zaddies is mistreating them on this football and basketball plantations. But in America, where these guys have hundreds of millions of dollars, they could rent out the same football or basketball stadiums and have their peers play with them for money. Nothing is stopping them from doing that.
You know what was vexing for me? To find out, that Ice Cube created the Big Three, where he uses a lot of NBA and college talent.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came to find out, there's a white boy.
Of course. He's the front man.
He's the front man. The white boy is the one pulling the strings. I was like, God damn, we are done out here.
And Ice Cube sitting on $500 million. Think about that.
It's a joke. Koku.
Yes.
Just to, until you just said that, I didn't know. To be honest, under my understanding was that Ice Cube had asked other former basketball players, if they wanted to be a part of it. And I think I remember it was Joe Johnson or somebody else that had agreed to it. So until you just told me this, I thought Ice Cube and then what do they call that? I thought Ice Cube and then he just did crowdfunding with other former NBA players to get this started. Now that you're telling me that it's even if this person was Asian, it's still it's I wouldn't say a disappointment, but it's underwhelming to me to hear that somebody that's not black, because my understanding was Ice Cube was really frustrated that some of these guys he felt could still play basketball at an NBA level, but weren't getting signed on to current NBA teams. And that's how he was approaching NBA players or the former NBA players was.
Goku, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, bro, I apologize. Even though I said and I did, I apologize. Yo,
no problem.
You know how the funny it is with the NFL? They make you think that 33, 32 is old, right?
Yeah.
They make you think like Terrell Owens can't play, right? They make you think all of that, but it's all a game to keep you from paying the older you get, so they could get you out of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That man that Gruden called Big Lips Mission, what did he do? Did he try to change that? You mean to tell me another quarterback, Cam Newton, 31, can't play?
Bullshit.
And guess who? And if you Stephen A. Smith said he can't play. Stephen A. Smith always attacks the black quarterbacks. Just now, Justin, the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, I just heard him say, "Oh, he's good, he's athletic, but my main concern is his accuracy." They stay trying to destroy. I'm telling you, Cam Newton can't play. 31.
Again, they have
No. I understand what you're saying, bro.
They have a right to determine what happens in their institutions. Again,
no. I agree with what you're saying. What I'm pointing out is the BS that black NFL, whatever his name is, that they made the remarks about, like he's a good guy. There goes your black athletic players. Cam Newton don't have a job. He was an MVP, went to the Super Bowl, Rookie of the Year. He don't have a job. But black people are mad because of this man. They call him Big Lips.
Yeah, black people got to come off of that bullshit. And the black players, to Mr. Untouchable's point, I can't stress that point enough. You guys are making all this money. Like every time I listen to one of these ex-players, the word is they made $100 million in their career. You made all that money, and what do you have to show for it? The first thing a bunch of y'all should have been done. I'll go back to like Magic and Dr. J and them, although they didn't make quite as much money as these guys today. But they should have been started a league that is in direct competition with the NFL, MLB, NBA. You know, like black folks can do that, and black folks will actually put up their dollars for it. I don't care what no one says. Black folks will tune into that shit. The same way they tune into the NBA product, they'll tune into that as well. You know, and these guys won't lift a finger towards self-determination.
Koku, do you remember this league? They used to have this league we used to watch called And One.
Of course. Yep.
You know how big that, you know, at one point at their height, they was really competing with NBA advertisements.
Yep.
Because of how popular they were.
Yeah.
That was just really just black talent, even at the administration level. So I'm thinking to myself, that's a clue that the labor force could, if they decide to do for themselves, that they could do the same kinds of things. So they wouldn't have to worry about being fired at 30 or being called a nigger or a big tire lip, whatever. It's ridiculous. It's really a ridiculous conversation, you know, because we actually talking about people who have generational wealth, hundreds of millions of dollars bonded together, but they refuse to do it. And what's the reason for it? It's a ridiculous argument.
No, let me tell you, I understand what you're saying, but this is the thing that I guess we don't see. I don't know if anybody remember there was a running back that wanted to come out of high school and go straight to the NFL. His name was Maurice something, right? Yo, not only did they not let him leave college a year earlier, when he went to the NFL, they made sure they destroyed his career, right? Stephen A., when Kwame Brown came out as a high school, I think they say he was the first overall high school player. They cannot allow that because you know why? If that happens, the college loses money.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that it's not just the NFL. They're working in tandem. They're working together to keep you from studying your own stuff. It's at the end of the day, I get what you're saying, but we also got to realize that number one, these players are allowed to do what they're doing. Okay, none of them have the backbone. They don't think like us. Even when what's his name? You see what they did to the LeVar Ball's father? Mm-hmm. Even when he was trying to start his own sneaker, you see how they destroyed this?
Mm-hmm.
They're not playing with us. Big business is not playing.
Let me just add something.
Go ahead, bro.
Mr. Untouchable brought up and one. You know, Mark Jackson, who used to play with the Knicks and had a long career in the NBA, and now is a big-time commentator. His brother was a big player in and one. His brother died now, Cadillac. No, sorry, Escalade.
The
Yeah.
big dude was his brother.
Yeah. That's
Shoot! I didn't
that's
even
his
know.
little brother.
Wow.
Yeah, and he died. Escalade, right? Yeah, he died. And the thing about Iron One that a lot of people will probably forget now is that the NBA started to go into Iron One and take their best players out. This is where Skip to My Lou and them came from.
Yes, that's a fact. That's a fact. And they didn't realize. Skip to Malou didn't realize that they already had the bag. All they really needed to do was continue. This is what Master P. This is why I like the brilliance of Master P. Because when Master
I don't know
P,
if he's brilliant, but
when Master P was trying to start, the record companies offered him $1 million for his total catalog, and he said to himself, "Man, I'm a decline on that." And his brother at the time was like furious with him. Like, why would you decline that? And his mentality was, "Hey, bro, if they offer me $1 million, imagine what we really worth. Imagine what we really worth." And today he worth $500 million because he saw the value in the product that he was trying to give to the American public. And all I'm saying is, if a lot of us have that kind of mentality, you don't have to worry about this guy calling you a nigga or a big lip so and so. You don't have to worry about it. If we provided an alternative, they could try to ruin our career in their industry. But if we have an alternative industry, that same guy you said, as far as football was concerned, he could have just slide over into the industry that we would have created, and he would have still been making money to this day.
So yeah, there's a lot. First, just like the other guy, I didn't know that Mark Jackson had a brother that was in when I didn't know that was his brother. Anyways, Koku, when you say that, the NBA started to go into N1 and started picking their players, it's not so much. I don't feel that it's so much of them picking their own players. It really just comes down to like, most people are going to go with the job that's going to pay more. I mean, there's some people that are going to go with benefits. It's like if you already have the money, or if you're not living out of your means, or if you can budget really well, so people will pick the benefits over the pay. But most people are picking a higher, especially when it's significantly higher. I can only imagine on how much the average N1 player was getting versus what the NBA is offering. I mean, NBA offers, especially now, the Players Association back in like 2009 negotiated. Nowadays, like, you can be a bench player and clearing $100 million over your career. That's unheard of back, prior to 2009. Where I'm going with this is that it's beyond the NBA thing. It's beyond NFL. For those that don't know, I'm a Kenyan. I'm a Kenyan immigrant to the United States, and I still pay attention to Kenyan football, Kenyan soccer back home. One of our valued players, Victor Wanyama, and then Derek Origi, they play for the Kenyan Premier League for their respective clubs. And it wasn't until that they were approached by those Euro clubs from Serie A or Champions League. And I don't know what team that Victor Wanyama plays for now, but I know Derek Origi plays for, I'm even forgetting the name. I think it's Man U. But people are usually going to go with what pays more. Now, just like the other brother just said, we ourselves have to come up with those systems that say, instead of going that route, why don't you go here, where you're not only going to be respected, but you're going to have that much more love of the game, because you're doing it amongst people that look like you, the people that run the show and manage the show look like you, kappa wa kappa. But yeah, like, basically this just comes down to, like, if I'm going to get paid more at one job and I just have no integrity whatsoever, because really the Master P example, most black people don't have that kind of integrity, whether that's because of the education that they had. I don't know, but it reminds me of Malcolm's story when I think it was FBI agents that came over to his house and he recorded it because he knew that they were coming, and they said, we'll write you a blank check. We got a blank check. What do you need for us to have you spy on Elijah Muhammad? And he said, your money's no good to me. Not in those words, but basically telling them that you can't buy me. That's rare. That's so rare. Somebody like Malcolm, somebody like Master P, it's rare. Even LeBron. I know that we have our own, each individual have our own views on LeBron, but LeBron was approached, I believe, by Adidas at first. And they were like, we'll give you 10 million. And he said no, as an 18-year-old. To have the wherewithal to say that you're worth and valued a lot more. For a lot of us that come from, whether it's inner city or even middle class, a lot of us just don't have the best financial literacy education. That's one thing. And then the other part is, it's like, what other alternative is there? So I think a lot of us just need to like really start thinking about that, and then just work with each other. Just work with each other and say, okay, hey, I'm in this position right now. I know you're in this position right now. How can we come up with a better situation and say, instead of whether it's athletic, music, acting, whatever avenue, let's have our people, instead of choosing whatever is going on in the West, have them pick whatever is going on in the Caribbean or Africa. Sorry to drop out.
No. That's great. That's great stuff, man. Thank you, Otenga. I'll add to that too. You mentioned education. That the education needs to be, and I talk about this all the time, but it has to be a patriotic, race first type education. We're going to talk about race first at the end of the show when we do the last prompt on Devontae Wilder. But we have to have a race first mentality, so that when the tempter, you remember that story about the alleged Christ was taken by Satan up on a hill and shown all the buildings and all that, and he was told that he could have it all and all that stuff. We have to have that kind of thing about us that says, listen, I don't care what you show me out here, right? So like, for example, And One back in the day when Skip to My Lou and them defected and went to the NBA, of course, they were making maybe hundreds of dollars versus potentially millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? But we got to get this thing in black folks too that says, hey, I might only make $300,000 with other black folks that's owned and run by black folks versus I'm gonna make $3 million with them white boys and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm doing something that's not just for me, but it's for our people, for generations to come. And yeah, I may only make $300,000, but it's still much more than a doctor is making. It's much more than teachers are making, and all this kind of stuff. We got to get this race first thing down, Pat. I see Coach Pete is here saying, "What's up, family? What's up, Coach Pete?" BB Rodriguez says, "How much power would have been shown if they all did a sincere walkout?" They was going to do that during the pandemic. During the pandemic when a brother, I think in Minnesota again, was shot in the back. They were going to do that, and they called Obama, and Obama was like, "Nah, don't do that," because again, Obama them is just just protecting white folks' interests. So we got to start looking about our own interests, but we got to bring some certain realities to it. So this is why we have to work on our own economics, our own economic systems that provide reward and punishment, right? But as individuals, as families too, right? As individuals who make up family, we got to start pushing race consciousness first, and the understanding that, listen, right now we have to be pioneers in this thing called nation building. And we might not make as much as we could. And the devil might come showing us the riches that we could have if only we bend the knee. And we have to be able to say no to that bullshit. Does anyone else want to add anything to this?
Yes, I have something to add to it.
Okay, go ahead.
Quickly, and I'll let you go. The point about Skip to Malou, because I want to go off on it. The point about Skip to Malou is, yes, he could have very well made a couple $1 million more by signing on to the NBA today.
Mhm.
But if he had continued with trying to build up that organization, that N1 organization, and if he had ownership shares in that
Right.
organization, tomorrow he would be a probably would have made way more in the long term than he
Mhm.
could possibly make in the NBA. Our problem is we give up on our institution to join other people's institutions, forgetting the fact that these organizations, they started small as well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And eventually the NBA wasn't always giving their players multi-million-dollar contracts. In fact, the ABA was, you could get like $100 a week or some shit like that. The
Mhm.
fact that they stuck with their institutions and build it up to that level. The reality is we could do the same thing as well. And I understand you're coming from a poor position. You're coming from an economically deprived position, and you may not necessarily have financial consciousness. I understand that, man. And it ain't for everyone. All I'm saying is if you look at America, most of these institutions and organizations and corporations, they started small. But a corporation that starts small today could be a Walmart tomorrow.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Don't give up on yourself for the fast money. For the fast money. But I'll leave it there.
Izili, just 1 second.
Okay.
Just 1 second. I'll say this too. The Negro leagues in America were destroyed also when MLB decided to come and start giving the best players in the Negro League contracts as well, right? And something Mr. Untouchable just said there, that's something that you have to give this white boys credit. They have a pioneering mindset. Their great-great-grandfather will be some dusty European who'll jump on a steamliner and come to the States and finagle his way. And next thing, he has some ownership and some shit, and he could pass down generational wealth. He might not live to see the greatness. He may not live to see the land of Canaan, so to speak, the milk and the honey. But he knows that when he passes on, he leaves the people, his lineage, he leaves them with something to work and to build upon. And that's what we got to get in Black society. Azuli?
Oh yeah, what I wanted to say about the Skip the Malou, the N1 situation is that how many N1 players made it to the NBA? If we forget, did we not hear that a lot of the sport commentators were saying, yeah, N1 is good, but they don't know how to play basketball really. They don't know how to, all they do is dribble. Did we not hear that? I know out of that. So it's one thing to say, oh, if you would have built, you think they're gonna let the N1 thing surpass the NBA?
It doesn't have to surpass though.
No, what I'm even to the like rival the NBA and stuff like. Let's not forget, N1 was just. It's a lot of kids that played in the cities. We can't blame these kids. They were like 19, 15, 18, 19. N1 was probably giving him what, $3,000. I'm let's say $3,000 a month. Oh, comes to the NBA, you make $100 a year. The thing is, are we gonna blame? I'm not gonna put stress on Skip the Malou for that. What my thing is these NBA stars now who are making 250 this and that. And yes, you're right. The people go see them, but I don't know why they don't want to make the just. I don't know why they didn't go to Detroit and build a whole black neighborhood there with all the cheap houses there. The white boys not playing.
No, they don't do it because, again, I think you and Mr. Untouchable kind of hit it up succinctly, is that they come from these situations where they're not well-versed and well-educated. They don't understand money, generational wealth per se. A lot of them learn it along the way, hopefully. So that's the problem that we have. And again, the biggest problem, and again, we're going to talk about this heavily at the end, is that race first consciousness. A lot of these guys are not race first conscious, which is why the first thing you see them do is marry a white woman. We have to get down to the education, the fundamental education. We have to get to that early childhood education and let them know that, listen, your skills, your talent, your intellect, etc., Your abilities are for your community, are for your people, not for anyone else. You might have to do something where, let's say you're a filmmaker or something, and or let's say you're a writer and you write this great script for a film or a book or something, and these folks come along with deep pockets and they want to buy that script. Well, then you have to have the sense to say, listen, okay, I might sell this script, get this money, and with this money that I get from here, I'm going to start the nucleus of my own, book publishing or film industry or whatever it is. But we don't have enough people with that race consciousness first to say that what I do, what I create, what I make and provide is for our people, and that's where we seriously lack right now. Any
And
last
don't get mad. I'm not judging no person from an economically deprived position in what he had to do to provide for. I'm not judging him. All I'm saying is, don't be upset and don't be angry and mad when the guy who in whatever institution you may enter, if the guy who created that institution treats you like a child and calls you names, don't be mad at him because you didn't do it for yourself. That's all I'm saying. Don't ask for fairness and all that horse shit. You know what I mean? You just take your paycheck and you accept whatever comes after that. Accept that, because that's the trade-off. That's the trade-off. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying. Accept whatever it is that he's gonna offer you, whether it's disrespect or disgust or kicking the ass at the end of the day. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that. And with that, I will add, Black people need to stop letting the left and put the battery in your back to get you outraged about shit that don't matter. These NFL players, most of these NFL players don't care. They're not like Jay-Z said, I'm not Black, I'm OJ. A lot of these sports athletes are not Black. They sports stars. That's what they do. They date whatever they want. They do whatever they want. So I'm just saying that let's not let them build our emotions over a man that don't even care about his own Black NFL players. Let the dog eat the dog. Let the bigger dog eat the smaller dog. I don't care.
True.
That's what I'm saying.
There's someone else who wants to join, but I can't. I hate when these things happen like this. I can't scroll down to allow the person in. So whoever it is, forgive me, or maybe they just left. I'm trying to scroll down to let you in. Try again. Click the link. Try again, and I'll try to get you in on the next time. I think we did a good job on John Gruden, and I mean, if you're an NFL player, you can't be upset with these guys who you begging to give you a contract and to give you money. They will and they shall, and I can't blame them. They're gonna call you all types of niggas, all types of beasts, big lip beasts, and all kind of stuff like that. That's just a part, that's just a part of the game. You set yourself up for that. What you should be doing, and what others ahead of you should have done in recent years, is start creating these alternative leagues so that you could go there. Sure, you might not make the same kind of money, but you'll be comfortable. If you're making $300,000, $500,000 a year, you're comfortable. You can be comfortable. Especially just to bounce a ball and throw a friggin' ball or whatever. It's like, you make yourself comfortable. In the days of like Walt Clyde Frazier then was taking the train and stuff to go play ball. In the summertime, they were like doing construction jobs and stuff like that. These guys today are making crazy dollars because there's a lot of people who are willing to put the money up to watch the games and to buy the merch and all that kind of stuff,
Yo, Goku, these guys don't even have the testicular fortitude to create a podcast to go against the narrative of ESPN.
Right. That's powerful. That's a powerful point.
They don't even have that.
Yeah, it's usually after they retire that then whether it's football or basketball players or even some baseball players, that they'll have the courage enough to speak out against the wrongs or what they felt was discriminatory when they were playing, and then now they want to give lessons on to the new players. One of the guys that I can think of is Darius Miles. You know, he has a podcast now, and sometimes he talks about, you know, his frustrations with the NBA, but, you know, while you were playing for the NBA. But then you have to think, we can judge people like him all we want. I'm not with it, I'm not against it either, but it's like, you know, the old saying of like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. And I think it was Thomas Sankara that said that he who feeds you controls you. I just don't know why somebody like Darius Miles in his position, why he would talk negatively about an organization that is currently paying his bills.
Well, I was not specific. I'm talking about going against the narrative that these commentators. There's a lot of disrespectful commentators, Caucasian, that are disrespected, and I feel a way about it because every time they say something, I feel that they're attacking the black image. Maybe I just gotta be like, well, they're not talking to me. All I'm saying is, if you look at this, even those NFL players that have podcasts now, they don't even put money into the aesthetic. They go to other people who own podcasts. Yo, you have money. Create a studio in your home, bro.
Okay, we say, I don't want to take too much time because I want to go to the next prompt, but Koku, I would love for you to have like another day where we can just talk about like what it means to be financially literate, because I think that that's a whole episode in itself. But we're talking about guys that A, weren't financially literate before they got that big money, and then B, they probably didn't see or were around a lot of good leadership when it came to finances when they were growing up. So now you give somebody that was just coming out of high school, didn't have a part-time job, or if they did have a part-time job, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but in Africa we call it black tax. And basically what that is like, as like a child or as like a young adult, that money that you get, it's not your money anymore. You gotta help somebody out with school fees. You gotta, you know, help pay the rent, help pay utilities, help, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these athletes are not in the same boat, that like they get this big bag and then they have like some of these guys on these documentaries talking about why they're in a financial situation now after making over $20 million are like, man, when I was making that money, I was paying my dad's rent. I was paying my mom's mortgage. I was, you know, my brother, I needed to buy him a car, and it's not a Honda, it's not a Toyota, it's a Mercedes-Benz C-Class that's over $80,000. I can keep going and going with this, but financial literacy and like Koku said, like a black first, a race first financial literacy mindset, it works wonders when you're taught that. But when you're not ever exposed to that, you get this. You get people, like you said, why can't these players build their own? They got all this money. Who's to say? Who's to say that they got all this money? I wouldn't be surprised if there's some players that are making $20 million a year that are probably living paycheck to paycheck because everything is leased. The mansion's leased, the car's leased. The girls that they're buying expensive dinners at these expensive restaurants because
leased.
Yeah, I digress.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not even going about with the financial. I'm just because they when they want to, they spend money on BS they want to spend money on. I'm talking about you're a player. People are talking bad about you. It's like the perfect example when Kevin Durant had the beef with what's that guy?
Chris Broussard. Chris Broussard.
No,
right?
not even Chris Broussard.
No, the white boy.
The pale looking.
Yeah, he was in some Spike Lee movies back in the day.
Yes, he's like a New York fan. Who gave this guy the right? Who gave this guy the right to disrespect Kevin Durant like that?
So let me
and then after that, hold on. What I'm saying is, go ahead.
Let me ask you, like, I'm Kevin Durant. I'm making upwards of $200 million a year. There's an African proverb that says, one who is chasing elephants doesn't stop to, like, throw stones at birds. This is a bird to me. Like, I shouldn't be paying
No. That is not a bird. That if it was a black person, it might have been a bird. Not this guy was not a bird.
I guess, man,
If
maybe
it-
we have a difference in opinion because it's like you're not
if
even
it
in
was
my caliber.
if he was a bird, that whole thing got the attention of the commissioner, got the attention of the league, got the attention of everybody. A bird would be me trying to say, Kevin Durant, you trash. He ain't got to stop to talk to me. Who am I?
Okay,
This guy,
if this is
hold up, let me finish. This
yeah, go ahead.
character was on TV. He has a podcast. He's an actor. A lot of people know him. He sits on the floor at every basketball game. He was a commentator for NBA, for ESPN. No, that's not a bird.
Okay, if unless he was in the NBA front office of the team that I play for, I don't know why I would pay attention to this guy.
See,
and the guy is Michael Rappaport.
Michael Rappaport is not the bird. He's been on a lot of sport channel disrespecting. Did you know that he said he did? I'm not a LeBron James fan like that, but he said on Skip's show that the reason that he goes hard at LeBron like that is because one time he asked LeBron for either for an autograph and LeBron said no.
Okay, and yeah, he has some vendetta because of LeBron didn't do
what I'm saying. That guy is not a bird.
Oh, okay. To you, he's not, but he's not.
He wasn't a bird for Kevin Durant either, because Kevin Durant went hard at him. What I'm saying is, where were all the black athletes with their own podcast to put this guy in his place?
I get that.
To think that he's not welcome in the locker room around us like that. Kevin Durant is us. You disrespect Kevin Durant like that, you disrespect us. Where's the male cojones, man?
I don't know. I think you're asking a lot from people that don't know how to manage their own money, so it just says probably a lot about how they handle their everyday lives.
I'm just saying, Ray, if you ask a little kid, a 5-year-old, a 5-year-old will put Michael Rappaport in his place. Where's the justice that we're born with? Kids are born. Where did that go? Because a lot of people came at Kevin Durant. Oh, why did you bring his wife into it? What? What? Who the hell is Michael Rappaport?
Anyone could get it.
Anyone could get it. Who the hell is Michael Rappaport? The thing a lot of those athletes don't realize, you're not only defending yourself, you're defending the black male image.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's like my team though, like that. Okay. I guess we're gonna spend a little bit more time on this. I work for a company, and if somebody like disrespects me on the job, my HR, right, the human resources department should be handling that. I shouldn't, as an individual, handle that. The human resources department in this situation, Kevin Durant plays for Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets should have been out there and been like, hey, individual, Mr. whatever his name is, stupid white. Let's just call him stupid. I'm not even going to address him. Who cares about this white man? Hey, Mr. White Boy, if you cannot keep your comments to yourself, you will be banned from any away and home games that the Brooklyn Nets play for. You know, it's like I shouldn't handle that. Like the ones who represent me legally, which is my team, they should be handling this.
That's if they care about you more than the paychecks that you do. They don't. It's just like, remember the Malice in the Palace with the Indiana Pacers? They suspended the fans attacked the players, and the players got suspended without pay for defending themselves. They didn't have security there at all.
Right. Yeah.
In the chat room, BB Rodriguez says Michael Rappaport is problematic. He has too much influence on games he has no business in. I actually agree with that. I agree with that. Let me post the next prompt. We could come back to this because again we're gonna have opportunity to talk about this race first consciousness with the sports players in a second. Did I post the next prompt? Oh, maybe I didn't post it yet. The next prompt, I did.
Yeah, it's right there. What are your thoughts on Judge Judy?
Yeah.
Okay, it's there.
Okay, yeah. So it's right there. What am I talking about? So what are your thoughts on Judge Judy? not asking her 25-year bailiff to work on her new show. Let me share this thing with the family here. I didn't expect us to talk about Judge Judy tonight, but it is what it is.
Neither did I.
Who cares? That guy would have arrested me on the street. Like, why? What? Like, what? Why do we care about that?
Yo, brother, can I ask you where you're from, brother? I'm curious, man.
Oh, me? Oh, I'm Haitian. I'm Haitian.
I can hear it and I love it, man. I have a few Haitian friends, man. I love y'all, man. Y'all.
Yeah.
I can hear the fire in the voice, man.
Hey, my quick thoughts on it. I would tell Judge Judy, thank you, Judge Judy. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me a 2-hour a day job and working as a TV bailiff and getting paid probably 3 or 4 times more than a regular bailiff would be paid for 25 years. Then I would take all my 25-year money and go do something for my goddamn self. Why do I have to go work on another show as a bailiff? I can't be more than a bailiff in life. Come on, man. These people are ridiculous, man. They are crazy.
Whoever it was who was trying to get on earlier, you can try again now. I think I figured out how to scroll this thing up.
Again,
click the link.
Again, it's the left trying to rile up black people to focus on shit that don't matter. Who cares?
So, who cares? It's true, but the prompt was posted, and I appreciate anyone who adds a prompt. Let me just play this video here. Zuli, let me mute your mic.
I know I'm unmuted. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Do your thing. All right, so let's play this video. What's this? Just a picture?
Although the show is coming
my
to
bad.
an
Hold
end,
on.
The reality court show Judge Judy, ending after 25 years. The TV show's leading lady, Judy Shineland, confirmed the news herself on Monday's episode of The Ellen DeGeneres Show. The 77-year-old Emmy winner tells DeGeneres that she came to the decision after selling the show's 5,200 episode library and the rights to future episodes to CBS. That was back in 2017. Although the show is coming to an end, Shineland says that she is not tired yet. Watch.
So Judy Justice will be coming out. What? The year later.
Where?
I can't tell you yet.
Oh. Well, that's exciting. So you're moving.
That's exciting news. That's exciting news. Judge Judy, you'll be able to see next year, full year, all new shows.
With a ponytail.
With a ponytail. With a ponytail. The following couple of years, you should be able to catch all the reruns that CBS has sold to the stations that are currently carrying Judy.
Okay.
And Judy Justice will be going elsewhere.
Judy,
isn't that fun?
Wow. So you've changed.
Yeah, go. Full breakdown there. Judy isn't completely turning in the gavel. She will now focus her efforts on her new show, Judy Justice. We're excited to hear that, and we're excited to hear that the show Judge Judy is still going to be around. It'll probably syndicate forever. It first premiered in 1996 and will go out on a high note with its 25th season in 2021. Besides the show, Judy's also keeping busy at home, including with one really cool gift that she got her husband for his 85th birthday, a motor tricycle. But it came with a few rules.
He's only allowed to drive it within the parameters of the gates where we live. He's not allowed to cross traffic, although I've actually seen him trying to steal around, crossing over double lane traffic. But he keeps pretty much to himself and the gym and back to the house.
She's in charge of the courtroom, and I'm pretty sure she's in charge at home.
I like seeing her in this setting, too. She's really funny.
Yeah, she's
right?
hilarious. And we're going to be keeping an eye out for Judy Justice. Glad to hear that's happening.
Yeah, that didn't talk about the black guy at all. Let's go to the article. Petrie Hawkins Bird. Let me mute this shit. Petrie Hawkins Bird would have loved to serve as bailiff on Judy Shineland's, whatever her name is, new show Judy Justice, but he says she never asked. In an exclusive interview with Entertainment Weekly, the longtime bailiff on Judge Judy said he was left out of discussions regarding Shineland's new show on IMDb TV. which debuts November 1st. Like all Judge Judy fans, Bird found out that Shinlin was going to do a new courtroom program when she announced it during an appearance on the Ellen DeGeneres show in March of 2020. But he never talked with his boss about the new show while they completed the 25th and final season of Judge Judy. Because of the pandemic, Shinlin taped remotely in New York while Bird worked in LA with the rest of the crew. So this is what he looks like here. Quote, my assumption is if you were going to do something else, that you were at least going to ask me if I wanted to have the opportunity to audition for the role, Bird tells EW. After production wrapped in April of this year, Bird turned his focus to his wife, Makita Bond Bird, a longtime Judge Judy producer who was scheduled for brain surgery. I didn't have time to think about or ask about Judy Justice, says Bird, whose wife just completed her third round of chemotherapy. Doctors successfully removed 95% of the tumor. It wasn't until July that I called the judge and asked, hey, should I look for something else or am I included in the Judy Justice project? She informed me I was not being asked to come along on the project. Continued Bird. Ah, boy. Who had served as Shinlin's bailiff since Judge Judy's premiere in 1996. I did inquire as to why, that's her choice, but she did inform me that fundamentally I was priced out as the new bailiff on her new show. My salary would have been too much. I was curious. How would she know? She didn't ask me. She didn't give me an opportunity to have accepted a lower salary. This Negro here, boy. Fans learned that Bird had been replaced when IMBD recently released a trailer for Judy Justice. Her new bailiff is Kevin Rasco, who Bird says provided personal security for Shinlin while on Judge Judy. So the security guy got the job. Shinlin, through a spokesperson, released this statement Friday. Bird is terrific, and we had a great 25-year run.
Yes.
This is a whole new program with a whole new cast and an exciting energy.
Go kick rocks.
Yep, kick rocks. Looking back on his chat with Shinlin in July, Bird thinks she assumed he called because they didn't have a proper send-off after 25 years on Judge Judy. Ironically, he says his wife was asked to participate on Judy Justice, but her health issues made it impossible. The call with Judy ended pleasantly enough, he says. I don't think she understood how confused and dismayed I was after being there for 25 years from the beginning of my career and not being at least given the opportunity to say whether or not I want to continue that relationship. These dudes are some hoes.
Boss, we sick.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Boss. Where you going, boss?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna read the rest of that bullshit. But these
boss, don't leave, boss.
Yeah. Jesus.
And Koku, didn't you just say that his wife was a producer on the show?
Yeah.
So he's lying. This is one. So you didn't know? So your wife didn't get a heads up. Yo, this is what oh my 25.
You can imagine that phone call. That phone call, that phone call started about now. Good morning now, Miss Judy. Now I was just inquiring.
I won't make no trouble. I won't make no trouble.
I want no problems with you now, but I just was inquiring if it was possible for you to reckon that I should get employed on your new show now, Miss Judy. Now, I love you now.
They gonna get out of my face.
All right, Miss Judy, thank you very much for the call. Now, you be good. God bless you, and good night. Yeah, I mean, we gotta. I mean, Jesus Christ, we gotta do better. In the chat, Achieve Mindset said he was happy to be there. He did not negotiate a good pay for himself. Right. Daily affirmation.
Who cares?
Laughed. Bibi Rodriguez says, she's being paid $80 million to humiliate and dismiss cases based on her personal biases. She says, I don't watch her. She's a witch that doesn't administer justice. The Learning Curve says she's not done. This is typical. I think KW Don said something earlier. He said Michael Rappaport is married to Kibi Dunn, a blackish woman. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this story I didn't expect to go over this tonight, but sometimes it's good to point out just the asinine behavior we have from black folks, and in this case, is a big burly black man doing this shit too. You know?
And what that means? What that means? Why you say that? Goku big burly. That makes it different. Then
That makes it a little
guy-
bit worse, man. That makes it a little bit worse.
That's what I'm saying. Then that guy from what's his name? The guy that played in White Chicks. The one that played in White Chicks get fundled right in front of his wife, and he was a big burly.
Yeah, Terry.
He's burly.
Ferry Screws.
Yeah, he's
Oh
burly
my
too.
God! He's a Terry Screws.
Yeah, big strong bucks.
But that guy right there is the same guy that would cry because John Gruden said that, and it's the same guy that would sell his kid into slavery.
Yes. Good connection of the dots, right? I like that.
Like 25 years the lady gave you. Where's the money? And you know what it is also? Maybe the lady was actually looking out for him because they probably was gonna lowball him if he wanted, because 25 years when he's probably in the Screen Actors Guild, they can't pay you a certain amount of money.
Right.
25 years, bro. Go retire. Go read
It's
a
like,
book.
what is he doing? He just standing up handing out papers. He's not really doing anything. She give you a good bag for 25 years, and you only have to work for 2 hours, and you probably getting paid way more than any bailiff would have made. And you talking about where we going next, boss? Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here.
That's not even your mother.
If you read between the lines, he was willing to take a pay cut to go with her.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh God.
If you read between the lines of what I just read at the end, close to the end there, she was like, how does she know that I wouldn't have taken less money?
First of all, you're not an NFL player or a basketball player. You're not gonna win a championship at the end. Why would you take less? These Negroes. Oh my goodness. And you wonder why Trump looks at you, be like, like, where's your testicular fortitude? What?
Yeah, I mean, to have testicular fortitude, you have to have testicles, man. These dudes,
You're right. My bad.
You know, these dudes is on some. Hello, Judge Judy. I called to be here for a job, but I guess
Get the hell out of my face. She probably called him a nigga too.
But you know what the funny thing is? I bet you, guys, you know what the funny thing? You know how Judge Judy speaks. I bet you Judge Judy was thinking, this Negro right here.
Yeah.
I give him 25. Yo, go do something better with your life.
Yeah, man. I give you free. And this dude, boy, we gotta do better. But Zuliism did a good job of connecting some dots from previous prompts. Is these kind of dudes here who are the Negroes in the leagues who won't leave and build another league. These are the dudes who will sell their children and other children into servitude and all that kind of stuff. It's these kind of guys here.
Yo,
these kind of guys.
Like you said, he could have started his own show. He made money. I bet that guy made over probably 500,000.
Good money.
If not close to $1 million.
She making 80 million, so of course he making at least he clearing $1 million. At least he clearing $1 million.
Yeah, for 25 years. For just getting a paper from somebody. He wasn't even funny.
You know what that reminds me of, Uzuli and guys?
Yeah.
There was a white boy on what's my man's name again from Chicago? Jerry Springer.
Mm-hmm.
That white boy, when Springer went on to do something else, that white boy went and started his own show.
Yeah.
Big time.
Bicos.
Yeah, Steve Wilkos.
Steve Wilkos.
Yes.
You know,
good money too. Good money.
Yeah, and he had that show for. Is the show still going on? Because
yeah,
I know he had it for a while.
It's still going. I don't watch it, but
even though the show might not be on, they make residual money because
exactly
the show plays. You know, and this clown talking about what we gonna do next house.
Yo, pushing paper. You would have thought he was actually. Yo, this guy probably thought he was a very essential part of the show.
Yeah,
Negro, they could get anybody off the street to do that.
Any big burly fella, they could get Terry Crews to go do that job.
Yo, he really thought he was the cornerstone of the show. They didn't ask me.
Man.
They didn't ask you.
Crazy. They're crazy. They are crazy.
He probably asked Judge Judy how come his name ain't in the show. Now, Judge Judy, I see the show's named Judy Justice, but I don't see Bird. I mean, shouldn't Judy Justice and Birdman or something be
He's
the
crazy.
title of the show?
Crazy.
Yeah, he's out his mind.
Yo, you know what I would pay for? I would pay for to have a microphone in Judge Judy's mind, because I know she would have said some racist shit.
Yeah, man. I mean,
She probably, if she would have used "you big lips, I gave you 25. I would have been like, yes, Judge Judy, I agree. I agree with you.
I agree with her. I would look at him like he out of his mind.
You out your mind. You out your mind. BB Rodriguez says to Daily Affirmation by Pauline, that may be true. He may not have a side cut. He doesn't talk on the show.
No, he does talk on the show.
He does talk on the show. Yeah, he does talk.
All the defendants, please rise.
Yeah.
Yo, you messed up, son.
Oh my God.
No, this is some disrespectful stuff. Now he wants us to feel. I bet you now he's gonna say, "Okay, we should boycott on Judy Justice." I would call him in the face that I'm watching Judy Justice right now.
Yeah, this shit is just comedy, man.
Yo, is this a real thought? Like he really wants sympathy?
Yeah, man. It just
Yo, Goku, when you did that into that thing, hey boss, that shit was fun. I was thinking, yo, I would give so much money to hear what Judge Judy's thinking in her mind while this Negro is begging but not really want to beg.
Yeah. Cause he just looked like one of them old Negroes using some old antiquated language.
Your wife is gonna recover from surgery. Take it. Go with her. Enjoy the life.
Yeah, because she's a producer. She's a producer. And in this day and age where you have, let me tell you something. Anyone could have a show in this day and age. Like you might not be on network TV or whatever, but there's YouTube and all this, your own web page and all this stuff. You go get your camera set up. I don't know what he gonna talk about, but probably whittling or some shit like that. Like,
but Goku, all the stories he heard from 25 years, he could turn that into a show.
Yeah.
Bailiff Bird. He learned something. I bet you he learned something from Judge Judy.
He probably used to smash her. He probably could write a book on how you used to smash Judge Judy out there. Yeah.
That's probably why they didn't come. You'd be like, you've been smashing for too long. Bro.
Oh man.
So there's one time I was having relations with Judge Judy, and she called me a nigga.
You used to have slave sex.
I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that's my take on that. Daily Affirmation says to me, you need to do stand-up comedy, man. I appreciate that vote of
they loving you, Goku. They loving you out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous with black folks. Black folks are black folks. I have this. I hate to say it, but we make ourselves the joke, man.
Oh man.
BB Rodriguez says the biased non-justice holder gets 80 million, including her residuals and syndication. How is this possible? Judges Milan and Judge Joe Brown and Greg Mathis not even making a third. Is that right? I didn't know that. I would have thought, but
Goku.
Yeah.
Judge Mathis says, no, Judge Brown said his show was better than Judge Judy's when they were on the same network together, but they played him and kicked him off to Judge Judy. So we all, again, like my man said, it's not your world. Create your own world. So what? He's making 81 million. What you crying about?
Yeah. I was hurt after slave sex with Judge Judy when she didn't invite me on her new show. She called me nigga several times, but I was cool with that until she didn't invite me to a new show. Yeah, it's wild, man. KW Don 7 says he can do a show on bootlicking. Absolutely. You know. You know, absolutely. Did we lose Azuli?
Wow today, man.
Yeah, so I think let me see. Let me try to get Azuliism back in here. This thing is so difficult to scroll. Yeah, we lost him for a second. Hold on, I'll get you back on. Okay, let me do it now. All right, Azuliism, you're back on the stream. I think Bird just kicked you off or something like that for talking shit. So yeah, bootlicking with what's his man's first name again? Bootlicking with let me see what his first name is again.
Officer Bird, man.
Yeah, bailiff. Petrie Hawkins Bird. God, bootlicking with Petrie Hawkins Bird. That's the show he should do next. I mean, for God's sakes. But here we have prompt number 5 tonight. Prompt number 5. Hold on. Add to stream. Okay, Erzuli, you should be back. Can you hear me?
I don't think he's on.
He has two different.
I'm on now.
He got the Port-au-Prince internet.
Yeah.
He got that Port-au-Prince internet. He going again?
Daily, I guess so. I don't know what's going on. He seems to be here. Let me see. Add the stream. Okay, he's here.
All right. I'm back.
Yeah. Stop bullshitting over there with your Judge Bird Wi-Fi. Daily Affirmations by Pauline says Judge Judy gave Bird the bird. LOL. Absolutely. While he was on the phone talking to her, she probably had the middle finger up the whole time.
Oh gosh, man. Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Yo, I believe it. You know Judge Judy don't play. I believe it.
No.
I say, Judge Judy, can you hear me now? Unequivocally.
She probably saying some wild shit to him too. Like, nigga, are you crazy?
Oh boy, black folks got to do better. That's the bottom line of that story. But thanks for that story, Daily Affirmations by Pauline. I didn't expect to talk about Judge Judy tonight.
Thank you, Pauline. Thank you.
Pauline, that was funny. That was one of that character. Oh my, what a character!
The next prompt is up. It's about a black boy who was abused in school, and I put the link in the chat as well. It's about a black boy, 13. He was called slurs and shot with a BB gun at a sleepover. So it's actually at a sleepover, not at school. What I want to do, because I haven't done this in the whole 2 hours plus that we've been here, let me hit a station ID break, so you guys can grab a drink. It sounds like Mr. Untouchable drinking a Calico or Sands.
How you know that's so good?
So you guys go grab something to drink.
Oh shit!
And we'll be back on the other side of this break.
That's funny. That's funny.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the pro-black perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the revolutionary matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Greetings, everyone. This is Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I just wanted to jump on real quick and highlight a tweet made by the revolutionary matron of the Learning Curve podcast on KWAZ Radio. She says in this tweet, "Buy black and support KWAZ radio hosts. Buy a t-shirt today." You can go to t-shirtepiphanies.com/KWAZ-radio-merch. You can support all the hosts like Onitase from the Pro-Black Perspective, myself, Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast, the Harsh Reality Podcast with D Webb and Al Miguel, and last but not least, the revolutionary matron from the Learning Curve Podcast. And I just wanted to show you, also, you can look at and see some of the first shirts that we have here. We have a lot of size options for you guys to choose from. So make sure go ahead and support each of these shows by purchasing a t-shirt today. The reality is that when you buy merchandise, support of one of your favorite shows on the network, you help to make that show even better, right? And by purchasing and wearing these t-shirts, you are showing people around you that you are included in the culture that we are creating at KWAZ Radio. All right? Buy it because you love what we're doing. Buy a t-shirt because you want to be a part of this thing that we're creating, right? And buy it because you want to show people that you feel united with the subject and the cause of the shows on KWAZ Radio. I'm Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast. You guys be good. Peace. Yes, indeed. Make sure you guys support the network. Support the other shows on the network by going out there and purchasing a t-shirt. Or you can make donations to each individual show. You can make a donation to this show, which is on Cash App, $bitter, BITTER, Bitter Meds. You know, make sure to support the shows. And I want to thank the revolutionary matron from the Learning Curve podcast for setting up that merch store for us. Much appreciated. So let's get back to the show in the chat.
Was he slow?
Was who slow?
The boy.
You know what? Let's get to that story right now. I forgot that I put the prompt up, to tell you the truth. Let's get to that story right now. Was the boy slow? That's a good question. Hold on a second.
You said they bullied him in school and he went to the sleepover and then they shot him dead. Like sometimes kids don't understand social cues. Like
So I'm sorry, Zulia. I'm gonna share the article for everyone who's here. So the title is authorities investigate claim that black boy 13 was called slurs and shot with BB gun at sleepover. The teen's mom, Summer Smith, also claimed her son, Samarian Humphrey, was made to drink what appeared to be urine during the alleged bullying. So this is the kid here. I'm assuming this is a kid.
Damn.
And, huh?
That's a big boy.
Yeah, that's a quarter pounder at least, right there, right? Reports by a Texas mom that middle school classmates invited her black 13-year-old son to a sleepover and then allegedly bullied him with slurs, shot him with BB guns, and made him drink what appeared in the video to be urine, have drawn the attention of local police and school officials who are investigating. Quote, "How terrible must you be End of quote. The mother, Summer Smith, said at a news conference Friday, addressing the unnamed classmates of her son, Samarian Humphrey, reports CBS DFW. This is not a prank. This is beyond bullying. You are evil. They are evil. On Tuesday, the Plano Independent School District announced it will release results next week of an investigation into the bullying allegations, reports WFAA. Police also assigned a detective to work with a school resource officer to conduct a full and thorough investigation in an effort to identify any criminal offenses that might have occurred during and prior to this incident, according to a news release. Quote, I believe it's important that we shine a spotlight on this type of abhorrent behavior because the resulting dialogue is how we can work together to end bullying and racial abuse in our school and certainly in our community. End of quote, says Plano Mayor Harry LaRosaleri at a news conference where he was joined by Police Chief Ed Drain and School Superintendent Sarah Bonser. Police said the incident was reported to them on March 3rd. Neither police nor the police district, school district identified the alleged victim. But Kim T. Cole, an attorney for Smith and her son, said the alleged harassment of Samarian at the school goes back at least 2 years prior to the sleepover on the weekend of February 12th, where the events appeared pre-calculated and racially motivated, she said. To call it bullying minimizes the gravity and the horror of this attack, she said. I guess this is the mother, Summer Smith, here. Samarian endured horrific bullying from football teammates at a Plano middle school. She wrote on a GoFundMe page seeking donations to help the family enroll him in a private school. Plano ISD did nothing to curtail the bullying. It became so bad that Samarian had no choice but to eventually quit the team. Cole continued, a couple of weeks ago, Samarian was ecstatic when a former teammate invited him to a sleepover. But little did he know what had been planned for him. While at the sleepover, several white students shot Samarian with BB guns. When he was asleep, they slapped him. All out. I'm sorry, man. Jeez, oh man.
Y'all are wild today, man. Y'all are wild today.
Where was I? So they
when he
slapped
was
him.
asleep, they slapped him.
Yeah, all while calling racial slurs, and worse yet, they forced Samarian to drink their urine, subjecting him to the unthinkable. When video of the incident surfaced, the teen's mother posted it on Facebook. She said she had reported incidents of her son's alleged harassment to school officials, but received no help. When you say there's nothing you can do, what do you mean exactly? Because it seems to me that there's plenty you can do, Smith said at Friday's news conference. It was premeditated and obvious that Samarian was only invited to the sleepover for their pure entertainment. The school superintendent said she had met with Smith on Tuesday to hear her concerns, and Smith said afterward the meeting was good. Now what? I'm waiting. On Tuesday, the superintendent told reporters bullying, harassment, and acts of racism against Plano ISD students are abhorrent and will not be tolerated. There's nothing okay about harassment. There's nothing okay about bullying and nothing okay about any act of racism. After the family's news conference last Friday, about 300 people gathered in support of the teen, who was seen in a photo posted online wearing a T-shirt and holding a sign, both of which read, "Justice for me." According to WFAA, the school district followed the protest with an email sent to parents on Sunday that read, quote, "The Plano ISD Board of Trustees stands united in the belief that no child should be victimized in any manner, nor be subject to any form of bullying, harassment, or intolerance."
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yo, I don't want to hear none of that shit. The reason that shit happened because there's no man in the family. If there was a husband, a father, number one, that kid would never went there again. Number two, you know how you end bullying? See, put the little boy in martial arts. Let him go over there and kick their fucking ass. A bully will not, like, if how is that your son? You're not putting your son in judo and karate. Let him fight for himself. That's how you build character. Now you're over here begging these people to give your kid a justice. Where's the father?
Mm-hmm.
A 13-year-old boy, they say he got bullied 2 years ago. If there was a father, ever in the house, there's no way my son would have been going back to hang out with those same people that bully me.
Mm-hmm.
Let the boy fight.
Um,
They changing all these little boys into little freaking girls. You 13, you're a big boy. You go back there and fight. You may lose, so what? You lose, but you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna be like, you know what? I'm not messing with this kid anymore because if I go bully him, I'm gonna have to fight.
Yeah, that story should have read differently. They can't make me drink no pee. Even at 13, you can't make me drink no piss. There had to be a story where you somehow force dunk my head in some piss or something like that. But not how I drink it.
But the thing, Goku, we're from different eras, and you're a different personality. Now they're making everybody soft. They don't let people fight for themselves. Oh, let the community fight. You're a boy. You're 13. No, don't let nobody bully you. And I'm not saying you're gonna win the fight. I'm not saying you're gonna lose. But I'm saying you have to teach the boy. If there was a man in the house, that would never happen.
Otenga?
Yeah, Zuli. Yeah, man, I can tell that you Haitian because no African dad, whether for the continent or the Caribbean, would put up with that. This brings to mind the Africans that I grew up around. It was almost like we all grew up in the same household because whenever I wanted to sleep over at my friend's house, my dad would say the same thing. Not only would he say no, but he would also say, "How come your friends can never sleep over here?" And I grew up thinking that, he never wanted me to ever spend the night at anybody else's house. But it was two things. It was that, as well as it's like, as long as my child is under somebody else's roof, I have no control over that.
Yes.
That's so like, you saying that like, yo, we come from a different era. Yes and no. We definitely do come from like a different era. My dad coming from a different era. But one thing is clear is that, he doesn't have to be a dad to say that. Like even my mom would also just say no, but she wouldn't give me the whole, how come they cannot ever come over here? It was just like, no, because I don't know, maybe this is just because of like what happens in Africa, but like when your child is under somebody else's roof, you have no idea what's going on. Also, no matter how many times you meet those other parents at football games, parent-teacher conferences, whatever, you don't know them. You don't know what kind of morals and values that they have. You don't know what kind of household it is, if they have, a roach infestation, etc., what kind of food that they're serving. Because we all know, like, there's some families out there, they aren't the best cooks, and whatever falls to the ground, like they don't want to waste anything. I'm going into tangents here, but the bottom line is that, usually in typical African households, most African dads would just be like, why can't they ever spend the night over here so I can at least monitor what's going on?
And the thing is, like you said, where were the parents? How do you beat? So that kid wasn't crying? So they're beating him up like this. This is why sometimes I'm very weary about those stories. Where are the parents? So you're beating this big boy up. He's not a small kid. Making him drink piss. He didn't yell. He didn't cry.
It could be a situation where just maybe the parents are along with it. They probably went along, not necessarily to the context of making the young boy drink urine, but it's like, hey, like, man, we never know. At the end of the day, just like my dad said, I don't know about those parents. I have no idea who they are. I don't know where they grew up. I don't know how they grew up. Yeah, we don't know. Maybe the parents were involved in the entire time.
I can speak to this. I was raised by my grandparents, right? And I'll tell you this. The only people house I could have stayed over by was a cousin of mine. And that wasn't like a regular thing to do even, right? In fact, it was pretty much understood. I understood by 13, like this kid here, I understood that I ain't sleeping over by no one else, except as a family member or something like that, right? Like to hang out with my cousins or something like that. this is why, and you could tell, by the way, when they don't mention something, that's the glaring thing. You could tell these were some white kids he was around who were abusing him. You know, in my case, in my hometown, it was all, you know, most of the people I would have hung out with or stayed over with would have been black folks. But even my grandparents and them wasn't on that. And particularly my grandmother wasn't on that shit at all. Right? So it's not just the men, to go to Otenga's point. It's not just African men, but even African women would be on some like, yo, what are you talking about? You going to go hang out with a bunch of these white boys where anything could happen?
After they bullied you prior.
Yeah, man. So that sounds like a Christian family. That sounds like a Christian family. That sounds like one of these forgive and forget type people. See, I don't forget. You know, go ahead.
I think that mother should be arrested for child abuse. Because how do you let are you kidding me? Yeah. My boy, he's 13. That's your son. He's been abused. You let him go back to the abusers. You should have been like, son, I understand what you're saying. These people don't mean you no harm, good. You can't go.
You can't go. You can't go.
I see the story.
And I know you're not going to understand it at this age, but trust me.
Yeah.
You can't go.
Mr. Untouchable?
I see the story as a GoFundMe hustle.
That's what I was about to say. What I was about to say.
And if I take emotion away from it, because I don't want to see anybody, especially a young kid, get mistreated. I don't want to see that. But if I look at the facts of this case, right? This guy, if you look at him, he was a football player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he kind of is a big kid, that would probably put him in a range of like a linebacker type of dude, big dude. So I don't really see some dudes intimidating a big linebacker, young 30-year-old guy, telling him, "Nigga, you need to drink this piss," and he going along with that. I don't see that happening.
No, I gotta disagree with you in that. Just because you're big, that don't mean the brain is powerful.
That's true. Another thing too is that he have a black mom, you know, and I do ask the question, where's his dad? Where's if not his dad, where's his uncles? Where's his cousin? Where's his real cousin who would have jumped in that and say, you know what I mean, I'm gonna take care of this shit right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, man. And it's too quick for them to run out with the GoFundMe shit or we gonna solve the problem with money. Even if he runs to another school, the fact that he have the mentality is still be with him. So people will mistreat him over there too. So money ain't gonna solve the problem.
Yes, you have to build this young man's self-esteem up. You're a man. You're a warrior. You're supposed to defend yourself.
Yeah,
money,
man,
sending him to another school is gonna do what? Because there's no bullies in private school.
Exactly. You can't solve them by running. You got to stand up to bullies. You know. So I don't know, man. I question the story. I don't know if it's true or it's not true. I see the GoFundMe element. I'm thinking to myself that this lady trying to get a buy off of some sympathy bullshit, you know. But
that's why I'm waiting. That's why I'm waiting for the end of the story.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm gonna listen to see what happened.
Yes.
This big burly kid could have been the new plaintiff for Judge Judy's new story.
Coco, you wrong, man. You wrong. You know you wrong, man. You wrong, bro. You wrong.
But no, the way she's raising him, she's raising a bird. He's gonna be like Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Well, I was just trying to ascertain as to why y'all made me drink a cup of urine. Yeah, KW Don 7 makes a huge, very important point. He says that someone washing dishes in the background here. Hold on.
Not me.
Okay. KW Don 7 says, "Do not socialize your children with Urugu." End of story. And I absolutely agree with that. But you guys make some good points that it could be a hustle. You have to be real about this stuff. It could be a hustle because I can't see any sensible black parents, be it a single mother or a couple or what have you, who would see that their kid was abused before and say, okay, you go and spend the night over by these abusers' homes. It's just hard for me to see them doing that, being that silly to do that.
But Goku, I'm telling you, this is what happened when there's no righteous men in their lives. Okay,
Yeah.
A man would never let that happen.
So,
go ahead, bro.
Uzuli, I'm going to bring up an unfortunate situation that you and I know about.
Mm-hmm.
So, Uzuli and I know Uzuli from college, in case y'all guys didn't pick up on that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uzuli and I, we knew a kid, a Haitian kid we knew in college who was into white fraternities, would dye his hair blonde and all this old dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid, during the pandemic last year, this kid was found dead.
Wow.
He apparently went out on a boat on a lake or some shit.
Wow.
With some white guys. Right?
His business partners, let's not forget that.
Yeah, his so-called business partners. And they allege that, he was on the boat with us. We saw him swimming for a minute, and then he just disappeared. Like, we didn't notice he was gone.
Wow.
Right? These 3 white guys. We didn't notice he was gone. We saw him in the water swimming around, and then I guess at some point he just disappeared. And that guy died. You know?
And meanwhile, he's a super athlete, that kid.
Yeah.
It's not like a regular kid. That kid was an athlete since college. Even he was continuing. He does the mud thing, like the mud triathlon.
He's a triathlete,
Yeah. Of course, we'll never find out, but that's what happens. That kid had a little self-hate on him.
Yep. And the reason I bring it up is to say that as Black folks, and this is why I could entertain what you guys are saying about the potential for this to be a grift, because as Black folks, we kind of know, our parents and grandparents kind of instilled in us that, hey, you ain't going and hang out with your one black ass with all them white folks like that. Like, that was kind of understood even when I was like a kid growing up. Like, it was understood. Who all going? Nah. You can't.
Who all going?
Yeah, who all going? Nah.
That's a true statement. Who all going?
But then Goku also, remember, there's a sense of, the more you hang out with those people, the more the validation a lot of Black people are looking for. Or my kid is the only Black kid in the school. My kid, I'm the only Black person in that neighborhood. That plays a part in it. Maybe that's why she let him go. If the kid is white or whatever, if the children are white, I'm just saying, if there was a man in the house, that would have never happened.
Yeah, I agree with that. Daily Affirmation by Pauline says, but this happened in 2018 to an adult Black woman. Yeah, there was I think I talked about that before.
Yeah.
There was a Black woman, and there's a picture of her.
She had a sleepover.
Yeah, there's a sleepover again. There's a picture of her with a bunch of white broads. And she goes over there, and she's from the Caribbean too, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, she's like from St. Vincent or something like that.
Yeah, she should have known better.
She should have known better than that shit. And she has a Black husband too, by the way.
Yeah, she should have known better.
What are you doing? But you see, a lot of us have this thing of, if we are invited to the white party, we've arrived. You understand? You have arrived nowhere.
And to this day, they don't know any. Everybody have their mouth shut. Nobody has been charged. Nothing.
No.
And nobody going to jail either. Yeah, that's what it is.
No.
That's what it is.
That's just what it is. So you can't be all comfortable trying to sit up around these folks. These folks will take you out, and nothing will come of it.
Not a goddamn thing.
And so to see that we are now putting our children out here on this bullshit. Not we, but you know what I mean. A bunch of folks. Hold on, I think someone else is trying to get in. Yeah, the matron is here.
Matron.
What you saying, sis?
Greetings, everyone. I'm so glad. Hey, how y'all doing?
Respect to the teacher. Respect to the teacher.
I appreciate that. You know, I'm coming up off my hiatus. I had to get my mind right, but I wanted to say a few things about this whole thing about us sacrificing our children to these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know I was a 70s baby, grew up in the 80s and the 90s in Detroit. My sister is 10 years younger than I am, and I had to fight with her to not sacrifice my niece to these people, because they do these pop-up sleepovers after picking on your kid all day, so they think that is social acceptance. And there's distinctly a generation of people that feel like if I keep hanging out with them because that's what their parents taught them and that's what television taught them, they will live to other people because the they see was stronger than the compassion and love that might have been in their home that was really probably absent.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me? The 80s and
You're still
2000s.
breaking up. It sounds like a digital thing going on.
Oh, 1 second. Is this better?
Much better.
Okay. In the 80s, from the 80s until the 2000s, right? They put a significant push in intersectional and interracial relationships in front of our children. And we were busy trying to get money. And so they don't see this problem the way that other people see this problem, the way that we see this problem. They believe that if you invite someone into your home, that you're going to treat them well because we believe in that type of hostility, in that type of hospitality. They don't believe in the type of hostility that historically these people have had for us. And so we have to continue to tell our stories and tell the truth about our stories, because if we don't, we're just setting them up and really literally sacrificing our children to these people. I wanted to jump on and say thanks a lot, guys.
No problem. You know, you just reminded me of something too. Like when I was growing up, like I said, my Grammy and them, they ain't letting you sleep over. But what's funny with their children, with my father and my uncles and aunts and stuff, they used to let their friends come and stay and sleep on the floor in the kitchen and all kind of stuff a lot when the generation before me, my grandparents' kids, were growing up. I would encounter these adults like around church and stuff like that, and they would be telling me, "Yo, how's your uncle doing?" I'm like, "Oh, he's fine." He's like, "I bet you don't know I used to sleep in your house and stuff like that." So there was a time where I think the matron is correct in what she just said. Like, we understand that if we're taking in people and having people come to us, we treat them with decency, we treat them with respect, we protect them, this, that, and the other. And I think a lot of our people are kind of slow to the dance, and they think that others will do the same for their children. And that's just not the case. Does anyone else have something to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Put the little boy in karate. Let him defend himself. Shit.
Yeah, you know, that whole thing in the 90s, where women would say stuff like, "I don't need a man" and all that old shit. This is what the outcome tends to be.
But the thing is, they used to have women. They used to have women who used to be like, "No, fight." Let's not just. I'm not gonna just say some women would bring him back then and fight these kids. What happened to these women?
Well, that's toxic masculinity now.
Oh yeah, you got it. My bad. But can we make it clear that toxic? Hold up. Can we make it clear that the word toxic masculinity was coined because boys who were raised around women, because they didn't have a clear male mentor when they grew up, they overcompensated. Toxic masculinity is caused by women raising boys.
It's toxic femininity, which the Learning Curve, the Revolutionary Matron, talked about on her show, I think this past week, actually. Mr. Untouchable, you were about to say something?
Nah, I'm not. I was just saying, oh gosh, I was listening, just listening.
Or maybe Otanga. Someone was about to say something and then
Yeah, that's by the way, Learning Curve, peace, sister.
Yo, who they chasing? Who they chasing? Throw the crack out the window.
I don't even know whose mic that is.
Yeah, that's me.
That's you, Baba.
Yeah, that's me. But go ahead.
Go throw it out the window.
Flush it.
Y'all are wild today, man. But yeah, like Lady Matron was saying is, too many of us to emphasize, like she, like to add to what she's saying is, too many of us have grown up here in America to think that, interracial and that multicultural is a good thing. Now, what that does is it confuses the youth. On so many different levels, right? Whether it's socially, economically, spiritually, et cetera, et cetera. The answer to all these is get out. Get out. Like, if you can afford to, get out. Whether that's the Caribbean or the continent itself, get out. Because at least you won't have that issue of, because you could go on the mindset of, I'm not going to have any of my children, playing around with any other races that are not black. Okay, that's fine. But if you're remaining in America, your child is going to grow up and be like, well, they're going to do two things. I'm not a parent at all, so maybe I can get some help on this. But your child will either rebel and say, man, my dad and mom, they're not progressive. Because I think that's, as the United States, they're trying to move towards that. They're trying to say, we're going to try to be more progressive in the way that we look at things socially. So my mom and dad are not progressive. They haven't been progressive since I was young. And I'm going to try to prove them wrong and try to say that, whatever you think about any other race, the Arab race, the Latino race, the white race, it's backwards, dad. It's backwards, mom. I'm going to marry. I'm going to hang out with whoever I want, whether you like it or not. Or you have that child that says, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, not hang out with anybody else but black. And then, unfortunately, something really terrible happens. Like maybe the black person that they hang out with, one of the 10 that they hang out with betrays them or does something so foul to them that they're like, I never thought that somebody that looked like me could amount to that. So the answer to that, get out, repatriate. Whether that's the Caribbean or Africa, get out of here, because it's just not going to work.
I agree 100%. That just shows you that there's no nation within a nation. You're a population within these people's nation. That just shows you there's no alliance that can be made. You got to go and do your own thing in your own lands and get out of these people's reach. Daily Affirmations by Pauline says, in the island, when someone was bullied, the parents would never let their kid who was bullied have anything to do with their bully, much less sleep over. Never. And that's what Daily Affirmation by Pauline said just now is a fact. If you've been troubled by another kid in where we're from, where Mr. Untouchable is from, you've been troubled by a kid, you and that kid ain't gonna be cool no more.
No,
that's a wrap.
And as a matter of fact, if you had the nerve to tell your parents you want to go by their house, they'd be like, have you no shame?
Yeah.
What's your sense of character? My parents would be like, there's something in Haitian they call sans honte. Sans honte is like somebody who has no shame. Like, have you no shame? They will make you feel bad about wanting to hang out with the bully.
Mm-hmm.
Pas bon.
Yes.
No good. Yeah, man. That's a fundamental amongst black folks, to my understanding, at least in the Caribbean and the continent of Africa. That's a fundamental thing. My child ain't going where they're not welcome, So is there any last words on this prompt from anyone here on the panel?
No, that's.
I got a question. I got a question for Koku. Koku, I'm just really curious. In my mind.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have this is a random question. What's with the skeleton? What's with the skull for your picture? I've always been curious about that.
Oh yeah, it's there was a time. I mean, it still is, but there was a time when you saw it more often. There was a skull and bones on like medicine and stuff like that. Just kind of denoting that it could be potentially harmful. This podcast is the Bitter Medicine podcast, and so it's that reminder that when you come here, you might not like what you hear. You might not like all of it. The medicine might be bitter, but it's good for you. at the end of the day.
This you said this was the bitter medicine? I thought this was Fox News, so I'm in the wrong place, right?
Yeah. You're in the wrong spot.
Sorry, I'll make myself out then. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, so let's go to the next prompt, which is on the screen. Randy Moss versus Jason Whitlock. I'm gonna play this video of Jason Shitlock.
The funny thing is, I have a long issue with Whitlock, but this new Whitlock right now, I don't know.
Okay, well, hold that thought. Let me play this video for everyone.
Yeah,
go straight to it's on site, and that's what Randy Moss did yesterday. How we as black men respond to conflict depending on the color of the person we have conflict with. If we are offended by a white man, it's perfectly, or a white woman, it's perfectly appropriate to go on national TV and cry. You will get great applause. Oh, you do. That's it. Yeah, cry. Black people, white people, everybody will applaud you. You get offended by a black man, you go straight to, it's on site. And that's what Randy Moss did yesterday. He went to Twitter and promoted the fact that on site as soon as he sees me. And so I'm not surprised. I would like to tell Randy and anybody else out there the reason why I conduct myself the way that I do. The reason why this show is called Fearless is because I'm protected by the blood of Jesus.
Ugh.
And so I really don't care what your reaction is. I really don't. If it's on site, I think I'll survive. If I don't survive, must be my time to go. But at 54 years old, I'm just kind of over it. And I've been over it again. When I was younger, I've been through this, athletes threatening to kill me, threatening to beat me up. I've been through Wayne Simmons, former NFL linebacker, attacked me in a club. I've talked about it on this show. But that was in my younger days. But
yeah, that's that bird Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but it's this Wi-Fi ain't about shit right now. But that's the gist of it. By the way, I don't know if y'all put this together, but Whitlock was the kid in the previous story who was forced to drink tea.
He look like him. hey, Koku, you wrong. You know you wrong for that.
He look over like him. That's probably his pop.
Yeah, that's probably his absentee dad right there. But yeah. So the idea, I guess, is so. Urzuli, you posted this prompt today. What was the reason for Randy? Because the other video is like 8 minutes long. I don't want to play.
So the reason for Randy was on either ESPN or on I don't know which network, and then he was surrounded by maybe two white men and a white woman and another black commentator, and he's like talking about the John Gruden situation, and he's like, I feel my family, and he started crying, like little crying a grown man halfway through it, and then the white lady's like starts crying too, and it's like, what, Randy? Are we serious right now?
Boy.
Not only Randy, there's another defensive player that he started crying, and I'm like, really? Randy Moss, first of all, you married to a white woman. Why are you crying? I don't get it.
Is he really? I didn't know that either.
You didn't. They're not. I don't think they're together no more. But he divorced her because she's technically like a deadbeat mom or whatever.
Or maybe he started crying more than her. Who knows?
Probably that's what it was, and she couldn't tolerate that, even from a black man. So my whole thing with that situation, I couldn't even watch. Like, for what? So again, that thing is funny that even though I'm not a fan of Whitlock, but Whitlock brought something. Why is it on site with him, but it was not on site with Gruden?
Yes.
It was on site with him, but it was not on site with Bill Belichick that cut you and didn't want you back.
So I have to do this. Let me see if I can get this done. I have to do this because when I hear whole shit, I like to kind of see the whole shit for myself. To be honest.
Yo, don't do it, Goku. Don't do it.
I know I had to look this.
Yo, this guy and literally trying to fake cry.
No, it was real tears. No, Zuli.
No. I understand. No, I agree with you. It was real tears. I just like, what?
No, I gotta see it.
Let's take a quick look at these real tears. Okay.
Yes, let's laugh at the tears.
Yeah.
Responses to this, Teddy. I hear you saying basically, if you were in that locker room today, you kind of just put your head down and you think of him as the leader in terms of the decision maker, but not necessarily a leader you respect. I'm curious from your perspective, Randy, if you were in that locker room today, would you be able to play for him?
You know, to speaking to Teddy's point, you know, basically you hear us talk about we got work to do, we got a job to do, and that's to provide for our families. And Teddy hit it right on the head of just putting your head down and going playing football. You know, I speak about the game of football. I fell in love with the game of football, Sam, at 6 years old. And I get emotional talking about it because...
Oh, my
God. New t-shirt dropping soon. That's some whole shit.
Rights were taken, were kind of messed with in high.
You see, my computer don't like coon stuff. That's the problem. So, like... Coon stuff caused my computer to buffer.
You didn't watch the worst. Goku, you didn't watch the worst, bro. He gonna grab a napkin. He's gonna grab a napkin and everything.
Zuli.
I get emotional talking about it because of situations like this. Our civil rights were taken, were kind of messed with in high school over the color of my skin, and now being able to play 14 years in the National Football League. To have something like this of a leader. We talk about leadership. We give guys these big contracts because they want to be able to lead 70 men, coaches, equipment staff, and managers to the number one goal, and that's to win the championship. And for us to be moving back and not forward in 21st century, like I said, man, National Football League, this hurts me. The clock is ticking, man. I'm sorry.
They don't give a fuck.
I'd rather not.
Yo,
I'd rather not do it, but if I have to do it, I will. And it's just because I have other people that I have to provide for. Right?
Is he an intersectional person, you guys?
Nah,
we've done it
Caucasian.
before in different situations. We are all mentally tough people in that locker room, but it's something you'd rather not do.
Yes, so this is what I think about. It's like Randy sitting up here feeling this way.
She's gonna cry now.
Distance.
You see the napkin? Oh my
in that
God!
Locker room today, trying to play a football game, feeling that way. How? I don't know. I don't know how. What? Matt, or Rex, I would love to hear your perspective. What should the NFL do right now? You see this response, and you guarantee there's a version of this response in that locker room. What should they do? How do you make this right? How does John Gruden make this right at this point, or is it a lost cause?
I'm at a loss for solutions, but I think the answer to that question probably comes from somewhere inside that locker room. Las Vegas.
Are they still following him? I mean, that's a big question. You have the slogan of Al Davis talking about, you know, just win, baby. Today in Las Vegas, the slogan is must win, baby. So to be able to really see how this team responds coming off a loss and then having this week coming out with a heavy heart. All eyes is on Las Vegas.
Yeah, Randy, I appreciate it.
And they still
being genuine and honest. It's what we love
We've
about you.
been through a lot, Sam.
Yes,
With a heavy heart.
We sick, boss. We sick.
Yeah, we sick, but
A heavy heart. They got Negroes right here who can't pay their mortgage, their bills. This guy with a heavy heart because they said a Negro that did not even defend his players because they call him Big Lips Baboon. The guy they talking about don't even put, if you go watch, the NFL's been ripping these NFL players, and there's a black guy who's the union leader, and he's letting this happen. This is the guy that they said that got Michelin tire lips. And he's crying for that.
A system that dealt you injustice will never create justice for you. Just stop it. Like that is heartbreaking. I'm like looking at this and I'm like, this is why intersectional people pop up, right? Because the most powerful person there was the white woman, and everybody want to be with the powerful person.
That's a fact. The most powerful person on that panel was the white lady. That's a fact. And what's strange is they say that a clock which is broken is right 2 times a day. And I'm not a Jason Whitlock fan, but it's funny because what he had to say, he was actually absolutely right about it. He said that how is it that this guy has only vitriol for me, but your white coach, call you a big lip, whatever, and you cry in tears? Come on, dude. Come on, man.
So this I got a story. It's not gonna be too long, but when I was in high school, I went to school at, there was a lot of refugees from Africa, Liberia, Congo, South Sudan, etc. And there was this one. I think I was a freshman and he was a senior. So there was this one senior South Sudanese refugee, and he just an old fashioned, the Kushites. I don't know how many of you guys know the history of the Kushites, but like one of the strongest armies, during the time of Kush and Kemet. And just in typical Kushite fashion, he wanted to be the alpha, the biggest and the baddest. So, once in a while he'd try to get me, and that's fine, right? But I witnessed one morning there was one white kid that was just talking so reckless to him. It was nothing racial, but it was just more just like, oh, you're a bitch, you're not going to do anything. And he didn't do anything. But any other day, any other brother, no matter what nationality you were, he wanted, like that meme, I never want peace, I want problems, always. And it speaks about like, it reminds me of like, Randy's situation. It's like, so why you want the smoke with Jason? Which is like, if you want the smoke with Jason, do it for any other reason, because he's well deserving of it. His actions in the past, but just like you want the smoke for Jason now because he told you like you shouldn't be crying on TV, because how many kids, like for me, I looked up to. I'll say this: I looked up to Rooney Rule growing up. This was one of the guys that I was like, man, you are one hell of an athlete. And then the way that he speaks, I don't know how much of his background you guys are aware of, but he grew up in rural West Virginia. Like, this is the backwoods of the most backwoods of the most backwoods. Like, his area is, I think they only have one corner store in the place that he's from in West Virginia. And it's just one small black community. What I'm trying to say is that, like, I looked up to him because up until this week, I never saw him ever being nothing less of a man. And so what I saw this week, it confused me, because I was like, I don't even know when Randy turned like that. There was when he played for the Minnesota Vikings, he ran over a police officer with his vehicle. And just to let you guys know about his like, his past. And so when I saw him crying, I didn't even know what to think of it.
But that's part and parcel with that job, When you take those jobs, you had to assure them, I'm certain, in some form or fashion, you won't be aggressive. Yeah. You remember was it Richard Sherman? Remember Richard Sherman screamed on a white woman during a during a post-game interview?
Yeah.
And she was shook.
He screamed in the mic, and then the media took it as like he was screaming at her. But
but she was shook, right? I bet you when Richard Sherman's career is done, he'll be up on one of these same TV shows, talking all polite and neutered, well, verily, I
Yo.
I do believe that it's quite
Hello?
possible. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Credit to Sherman's defense. This dude Sherman destroyed Skip.
Yeah, he did.
Online. So, but it might be different when if he wants to get a job at
When he
Fox or
gets that
ESPN.
job, he'll have to go and suck up to Skip and people like that. You
And
understand?
apologize.
And apologize.
Don't forget
Yeah.
I just want to say that I reached deep inside my heart.
I was
And
young. I didn't
and
know
I
better.
realized, yes, that I was speaking from a place of black anger.
Oh my God! Chill,
Don't-
Koku, chill.
Don't forget the Taz. He'll be crying too.
Yeah.
You gotta cry.
Yeah. You know, so yeah.
But the thing with Randy Moss, I've seen Randy Moss do whole shit like that. When he got released from freaking Bill Belichick and he wanted to come back, oh, I would never play for anybody else but Bill Belichick, the best coach of all time. But he didn't want to give you the money.
Mm-hmm.
When you begin asking for the ball, because you at the time you was one of the top.
Mm-hmm.
They traded you, bro.
Yeah.
Same thing as Cam Newton. Talk about Bill Belichick is the best. Yo, what's it? What?
I don't mind these guys. I don't mind these guys doing what they do. What I have a problem with is when the media puts these guys up for the world and says that these are black men and these are the spokespersons for other black men and how we think. That's the problem I have, because they have a lot of popularity. The media is in their face, and the media is going to prop these people up and say, well, this is the black male. That's the problem I have, man. That's the problem I have. Because they don't speak for me. They don't speak for me. Not in business, not in money, not even in mentality. You know what I mean? These guys are tools, and they're going to be used as tools. Whatever it is what it is. But a lot of young people follow these clowns. You know what I mean? A lot of young people, because they have media attention, because they're athletic, some of them are handsome or whatever. Let me just finish the statement.
Sorry, go ahead, my bad. Apologies.
And like I say, I would really prefer that they would have, like, people who think well, clear-minded people, men's type of men. You know what I mean? So I think that this is the tragedy of these athletes, where they be propped up, and artists as well, musicians as well, where they be propped up before the black and the white world to speak on behalf of the black world. That's the problem I have with that.
But also, if you pay attention, you see how when he did that, that's murdering the black masculinity right there.
Yeah.
Right on TV.
Yeah.
The opposite. Like, what kind of men? Because they said somebody had big lips, but you never went at that. Randy Moss never went at that union leader, how dirty he was doing the NFL players.
Zuli. I grew up and this guy ran over a police officer.
By accident. He ran over her by accident, please. He had no bone. By accident.
That's wild.
Whatever the case, he did it. And I was like, holy shit, I could never imagine any other receiver doing that. And then I wake up and I hear that he was crying.
Over calling somebody else big lips.
Bro, it could have been anything. The thing that, like, it confused me was, like, I didn't think that, like, okay, it's like you grow up and, like, you've never seen your dad, never seen him in a compromised position. And then you see him just looking real bad. It just changes. It's like, man, like, bro, I've seen you take two guys on, like, out in the street.
I get what you're saying, but I saw him crying for Bill Belichick. I was like, all right. And you know what? This is where I'm going to give my man, my homie. He's not my man, but Terrell Owens. You see him?
Yeah, I saw that.
Terrell Owens needs credit. He said he didn't grow up with a father. But his grandmother put the masculinity in him. When they were trying to play him and didn't give him the freaking Hall of Fame, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they gave it to him, he said, I'm not showing up. All these losers. No, don't do that. You know what Terrell did? He accepted it at his high school. We got to give Terrell Owens for displaying his masculinity.
Is that a display of masculinity?
If you're gonna get at Randy, I mean, Terrell did cry because they were attacking Tony Romo. And
No, that's a there's a difference. Terrell was doing that like because he wanted probably to get the ball thrown at him more often. He wanted to show solidarity.
He was still crying on TV, right?
No. That it's not the crying. A man could cry. You could cry for something, but you don't cry for that. What's the difference? What's the difference between what the little boy did going to the freaking to eating urine and what this man did? He's an older man. Terrell always saying that, that's my quarterback, because he's defending his quarterback and he's crying. Yo, shedding tear is not the problem. For what he shed tears for is the issue.
Let's ask the matron then. Like, ma'am, sister, like, do you? I
don't think she's on. I don't think she's on. But maybe you could ask her and she'll come back on.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from her. Like, do you find it disgusting when men cry on TV? I would like to hear it from her.
There's nothing wrong with men crying. Number one, if you're gonna cry, go cry in the corner with your boys. Don't cry around no women, and not around no enemy, unless it's your mother or some. I'm not saying.
All right, I would like to hear from her, man.
Matron.
I apologize. I was working out my technical difficulties, so ask the question again. I apologize.
Yeah. Do you have a problem when you see grown black men crying on TV, no matter what reason it is? I mean, sure, there could be death, right? We'll excuse death, but aside from that,
on television, and it's not death. It's not. Yes. So yes. If it's not death and it's on television, because that's projecting an image out to millions of people, billions potentially of people about some shit that's really not of consequence. Excuse my vernacular. Y'all know I be cussing, so I be forgetting whose platform I'm on. But because at KWAZ Radio, we're a family. I be tripping. But if it's not death, right? And it doesn't have to do, because even if it has to do with children, like there was a guy here in Michigan and his son got shot at and was grazed by the bullet of the people we not supposed, the people who shall not be blamed, that are, so his child got grazed by this person, and he went on national television on the news, stood there crying, talking about he just didn't know what to do and he just seemed lost. And this was an African man whose child had been grazed by a bullet. This person attempted to kill your child, your seed. And it just, so yes, if it's not death, right, then yes, it does bother me. Now if it's death, that doesn't bother me as much. And a black man or an African man crying in private spaces and being vulnerable and coming to oneness in a private space does not bother me, because you're supposed to be able to do that. You're supposed to be able to release. We going through this thing together.
I had a problem with George Floyd crying for his mama when he was getting killed by that white police officer. I thought
that's the coolest shit I heard all day today. Boy. That man,
Who said this? Who said that?
I thought that was a bitch move.
Who said that?
That's my boy, Mr. Untouchable, man.
Mr. Untouchable, I agree with you 100%.
I thought that was a bitch move.
Yeah, like the George Floyd thing, like from my perspective, like it impacted me, but like at the same time, it's like it was just like a draining of our collective testosterone happening in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't fight back. He was super docile. He didn't, you know what I mean? Like he didn't have.
But you know what?
That's the last medal. That's the last medal picture. And the media played that shit over and over again.
Over and over.
Really,
because they were trying to get you emotionally involved. But did he cry like that when he kidnapped the black woman, pregnant woman, and was beating her at the house?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I have no respect for Judge Floyd. I don't even partake in that shit. Fuck out of here. I was thinking the same thing.
Wait, what?
I don't know about his past. Nobody knows about his past.
In the past, he abused I think his ex-girlfriend who was pregnant. He abused her in the past and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that scene, I never talked about it, but that
That's just
scene,
me.
that scene of laying there crying for your mom and all that shit.
Yeah, I thought it was some bitch shit.
Yo, that's one of the coldest shit I've heard, but I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you shut your bitch ass up.
Right, like I can't even. I am in total agreement with y'all on that one because, like,
Yo, this is one of the coldest shit I've heard, but I was thinking the same thing.
I think to be honest, when I looked at that, I always thought that he was under the influence of something. I could be wrong, but I always thought he looked like he was piss pants drunk.
Maybe, man. Maybe.
Man, that was not a good look. That's not
wasn't a
not
good
the
look,
way to
man.
go out.
Nah. It was a rough day.
Go out on your shield. When you was beating that black woman up, you didn't do that.
Yeah, go out on
Yeah.
your shield, like my man
Yeah.
said. Go out on your shield, man.
Yeah. In the chat.
Bottom line, I mean, like that Randy Moss thing. No matter what you say, Zuli, I looked at him as like a role model at one point, and it didn't.
Yo, I don't look at none of those athletes as robot anymore. The only person, the last athlete, no, there's two athletes that look like that. Muhammad Ali, freaking when Terrell Owens did that, I thought Terrell Owens was gonna cave and go. Terrell Owens stood on his ground and said, "You know what? Yeah, shit it on me. I'm not going to that ceremony. If you want to give it to me at my high school where people love me and worship me." I had to give him a credit for that.
Yeah,
In
he
the
still
chat,
tried though.
In the chat, BB Rodriguez says there's nothing, I guess, wrong with a man shedding tears. Is what he's crying about that makes no sense. Daily Affirmation by Pauline says, I believe grown men should be able to cry on TV. It evokes empathetic emotions from viewers.
All women who making these statements. Just notice that they're women,
Yeah.
all females.
Not in public. Just not in public. As women, we have a responsibility to create a safe, intimate space for a man to be able to do that, because there are things that we all have to deal with outside of those private spaces. But when we are in public, that's why the image of the African person is so important. That's why who you marry is so important. That's why what you do is so important. How you spend your money is so important. What you value is so important, because that is the image we are projecting out for generations. Our kids revere Benzes and BMWs because somebody sat there and said this is success. Multi-millionaire athletes don't know what to do with their money other than go get a house, go get a car, go get a white woman, go get a toy, go get a job. They don't know what to do with their money because there has been no firm value set projected onto them about what they should do with their money. And even when you present them with that information, they reject it because, unfortunately, at the end of the day, they just want to be comfortable.
By the way, you know how you could tell this white boy is cold? If I have a black fella pinned down on the ground and he start crying for his mother, I'm gonna let him up. I'm gonna get up. Get your bitch ass up. Come on. Come wipe your eyes. Bring him a soda or something quick so he could drink that and get happy over here. This dude stayed on his neck. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They said that wasn't his first interaction with Mr. Floyd though.
Yeah, I don't believe in all these things. But let me ask you a question. What if he cried like Denzel in that movie Glory with that one tear though? That was gangster.
No, well the one tear cry, and I know Mr. Untouchable know what I'm talking about. That one tear cry, that's the cry I gonna kill you.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I wanted to tell. That's what I wanted to say. Sometimes when you're quiet and that tear rolls down,
that's a I'm gonna kill you.
I could kill you. I could kill you if I could. You know what I mean?
Boy.
I could kill you if I could. Yeah. Yes.
BB Rodriguez says, "Pardon me, as it stands for black men, I will say he should reserve his emotions off camera." I agree with the matron.
Yeah, cry to your woman late at night when nobody can see mine.
Yeah, man, that's hug up. Go hug up with your gal and cry, but don't do that shit. Erzulius, and you submitted this prompt. There's this video here. Is it worth playing? Shamika Burns down.
Shamika went in. She disrespect. She went in.
All right, so I'm gonna play that. You guys hang tight.
Excuse me, brothers. I gotta go take a smoke.
All right, mute your mic in the meantime. Let me play this. Let me play this video right here. Shamika Burns down. Rodney Moss.
It's on fire. We don't need no water. Let the You know, no one's really worried about Randy Miles, and you shouldn't be either. If there was a fight, the only sponsor would be Kleenex to help him with his tears, because he's just crying, you know, like a bitch. So nobody's really worried about him. He can say whatever he wants to say now in hindsight, but you cried, you looked weak, and it is what it is, and you got corrected by an older masculine man, and that's what needed to happen. And sometimes that's what we need. This is an exhale moment for me, because, you know, we talk about waiting to exhale. I have been waiting to exhale for men to just stand up and be men. So I'm so excited. You know that part in the movie where Angela Bassett throws the clothes in the car and backs the car out of the garage, and then she lights her cigarette and then tosses the match and just walks away from the flame? That's how I feel. If feminism was a house, I would be cheering right now. The roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the burn.
And now out in public spaces, we've created a culture and a society and a climate where we have to conceal who we are. We have to live a closeted life, not some other people. Your thoughts? Is that analogy bad, wrong, accurate?
It's accurate, and I would say R. Kelly may be locked up now, sad and brokenhearted, but we're about to
You
celebrate.
can kill it now. I think she said what she said.
You like to be in.
Okay, so we'll end at that. But yeah, again, I didn't expect to talk about the man who died. What's his name again? George Floyd. But that was on my mind too when I saw it. I never thought I'd have a chance to actually say it, but it came up tonight. And Randy Moss is an embarrassment. All these dudes, like M. Chaka just said, let me put that up on the screen. All these dudes are just fucking goofy when it comes down to it. And we got to keep that in mind. These guys are compromised people. I think BB Rodriguez said that earlier. These guys are compromised. Little known fact, when Randy Moss was there crying and he took that sip, that's a sip of urine he was drinking at that time. So this is the kind of whole shit that we see coming from supposedly black men, that they push. You see, once they push these dudes, you're supposed to know already that's a compromised Negro. All right. Let me go to the next prompt. If you guys have any last words for that prompt, by all means, share it now. This last prompt, I think, is going to be much discussed for the remainder of the time that we're here, because we did talk about this a little bit last week on Shoot the Breeze as we were ending the show. This fight was about to begin, and that's the fight with Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. The prompt says, black people rooting for the cheater Tyson Fury and going against Wilder. Wilder not talking, so I guess Wilder not taking this fight seriously, or he threw the fight. What are you guys on the panel? What are your early thoughts about this prompt?
What do they mean by? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to reiterate what my point was last week, because see, Mr. Untouchable and I had a moment where he was talking about skill over race first, and I'm gonna say what I. Yes, the pugilist. And I'm just gonna say what I said last week, like race first. Like I was all, if it's a black guy and a white guy, it's all about the black guy, because they're always all about the white guy. Like we're the only ones that get into this mental masturbation about, well, skill and talent and ability, and like it's a black person up against a white. Like I'm on that side. But and then as far as him throwing the fight, I mean, like I don't know enough to have an opinion about that. I do think that in different arenas, they do incentivize the loss, because I've seen that in my personal life, I've seen that they have incentivized the loser. They've incentivized, this, that, and the other. And people will take that temporary, few $1,000s, few $100s, little bit of notoriety and feel like they can recover that. We need to stop bending. If that is what happened, we need to stop bending and yielding for some type of temporary gain and stand up like a man on your own 2 feet. And that's all I have to say about that.
Oh Lord, I know I can get it on this one. I can get it. Please forgive me. I know my Gavier brothers and sisters can have my head. Y'all can have my freaking head. But we ain't perfect. And I know y'all can get it. But listen, it was a fabulous fight. I enjoyed it very much. I think that the person who was supposed to win that fight actually won that fight. I am on a skill level, and I hear Matron in my head talking, but on a skill level, Wilder is a one-punch boxer. He is a one-punch boxer. Fury he mastered his craft as a fighter. This is the reason why when they got tired, Fury took out. He went into his toolbox and he fought him like a boxer. And Wilder had nothing left but a big punch, and he punched himself out. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. That's just me.
No,
I know the Gaviers can have my head with that. It is what it is.
No, I'm gonna actually ride with you on that one. I'll say that the better boxer won, right?
Period.
But what I think, and this is how I took it, and I think I talked about this on the Discord. The thing is, two things. The fans of boxing, there's something in you that's supposed to say, and this is the Gaviite in me, right?
Gosh, man.
That's supposed to say, I'm rocking with the black dude. I don't give a shit.
Oh, man.
I don't give a shit. He's a one-punch guy. Man. I hope he land that one punch and knock this dude out, right? Because like the matron said, these other folks ain't checking about that. They rooting for the white guy. Oh, it's a white guy and a black guy? Damn it, you know who I rooting for. And they're gonna root, for the white guy. Everything else you said was true. As far as the fight goes, he's a one-punch guy, and also he's smaller than Wilder. And Wilder did that thing to him that folks figured out about Mike Tyson years ago. You lean, if you're bigger than that person, you lean heavy on him.
Get him tired.
And you take that, you take the steam out of that punch.
Rope-a-dope,
right?
yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Right. But now you just mentioned something rope-a-dope. Here's the thing. This is why I talk about race consciousness so much, especially in this case. If Ali had gotten beat by Tyson Fury, right?
Yes.
Ali would have worked his ass off and come back and beat Tyson the next 2 times.
Yes.
That's just and a part of the reason why Ali would do that. He know he's fighting for his people too. He's fighting for the outlook of his people too.
Yes.
Bernard Hopkins. Remember he got in trouble for saying something about who was he fighting? He fought some white boy, and I think the white boy beat him, and he said something like, "I ain't letting no white boy knock me out" or some shit like that, right? Like you have to have that dignity inside of you. If you're just a one-punch guy, you have to realize I got to go learn some boxing skills here. Mm-hmm. And when I meet this guy again, we will be fighting me as a boxer, not just a puncher. And Chaka just said in the chat, Ali would have trained day and night for months on end. That's facts, right? D. Rodriguez says that's facts.
Cuckoo.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
This Negro is Zuli.
The other thing is, okay, like if we know this about the white guy, right?
Finally.
Like publicly we support the black guy, but then we take our twos and fews and our pennies together and we say, okay, we're gonna bet the money on the white boy so we can go put some money into the community. Like, let's do it like that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, fine.
Cool. That's cool, man. If Wilder say, well, I have a kid organization that y'all have to donate to, I'll donate to that, man. But on the boxing level, I feel y'all.
My thing I want to say is Wilder did not take this fight seriously. Wilder was downplaying the other legends. Or I could beat this guy. I could beat Tyson. I could beat what? You're not gonna beat Tyson. And I really feel embarrassed that this is what Wilder showed up in, because he lost the fight after round 4. To be honest. And I understand.
Well, after round 2, he was tired as a mofo. After round 2, he was breathing out his mouth. So I knew he was messed up. Yeah.
Do you know that back in the days there was like 15 rounds for heavyweights or like 30 rounds?
Yeah.
How
That's
you
why Ali
showing
and
up
them
like
was
that?
also messed up.
And I'm saying, I understand that some people might say the cheater is a better boxer. I'm saying that he definitely won this fight, the third one. But I saw our people, the stars, wishing that the Gypsy all this credit, and I'm like, how?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yo, this was
You
very
can't do that.
disappointing, man, because they don't see it that way. When he won, the Gypsy didn't win just for the Gypsy. Tyson didn't win just for Tyson. He won for all the white boys. Remember Eddie Murphy had that joke about all the white boys, so they like Rocky.
Yep. Hey, yo, Rocco.
Yeah.
You know.
So like,
yeah,
it's a big L.
racial pride. You have to have racial pride. Again, I understand that the Gypsy was a better talented boxer. He just wasn't a one-punch guy. That's where Wilder should have gone off, trained his ass off.
Yes.
And like Mchaka said, you know, Floyd and them offered to train him.
Yes.
Wilder's last manager, not manager, but trainer, said that Wilder's just untrainable. He doesn't listen. He thinks he's a shit already. You know, and again, when you understand what's on the line, boxing has always had a history, like a racial history. When you understand that, you can't be out here getting your ass whooped. In fact, let me show y'all a picture of what Wilder looked like after the fight, which was crazy.
Oh no! Don't do that.
Koku ain't
Don't
shit,
do
bro.
it to him, Koku.
Nah, what? But I ain't doing nothing yet. Hold on. Let me show you.
He get his ass kicked. Yeah.
Please, no, don't do that.
What
Yeah,
Wilder
let's
looked like
we gotta see it. We gotta see it.
after the fight. This is what Wilder looked like right after the fight was over.
Yo, Koku, I'm done with you, bro. I'm done with
been
you.
on one all night, bro.
Right? That's what this fool looked like after the fight, right? Like you have to have more pride about yourself and your people and stuff, and you know that's the shame of it to me. Go ahead.
Koku, can I say something?
Yeah.
On the first fight, they had an interview where Wilder said, "I have my ancestors with me." You know what the Gypsy told him? Yo, bum, your ancestors are bum. I got God with me.
Yeah.
But no, go ahead.
Matron.
I was only gonna say, yeah, he did that, but like at the same time, he did like a little African ancestral worship right there on screen, because the white guy talked about that, right? But then he went through the lineage and history of great boxers as he continued that conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was doing like from a spiritual side, because we looking at this, it's like, oh, I got God with me. But then he called on the energy of all those other great African boxers to validate himself and to strengthen himself.
You talking about Fury did that or Wilder?
Before we give Wilder the Marcus Garvey of the year award, I want Koku to go and find a picture of Wilder's wife and just put that up on screen.
Oh,
and
don't
just
do
show
that. Don't do that. Don't
as
do it.
far as,
Oh no,
yeah,
bro.
Yo,
first,
because the Gavi is banging on me, and this fighter can bang on me, but I'm saying let's see a picture of his wife. That's all I gotta say about that.
Nah, don't do my man dirty like that. I know what the wife look like.
Yeah, before we give him the Marcus Garvey of the Year award. You know what I mean?
Oh no, man.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
man.
yes.
Well, I mean,
Koku, let's not, and let's just assume that.
Nah.
that we saw.
No assumptions. This is that man wife right here, right?
Okay. Yes.
I can't see it.
Oh, you can't see. Well, everyone else should be able to see it. This is
That ain't
what.
is she racially ambiguous? Is that what I'm saying?
She's barely passing. Barely. She could be
No, she's
Mexican.
not ambiguous. She might be a Latina or like a Caucasian. She's
She could
either
be
one.
Mexican.
She could be Mexican.
Straight up.
She kind of looks like Angelina Jolie, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
Hold on, that forehead she have there, she might be black, you know. But
No, she's not black.
But yeah, no, she's not black. Yeah. What's her name? Telly Swift? All right.
Okay, so back to the conversation for it is about race. I know that some of us, that are big fans of boxing, they want to say, "Oh, I'm going to go with the better fighter." That's on paper, but I'll say this: people during when Kaepernick was given that knee, people that were against that, we'll say white folks that were against that were saying, "Oh, like, I'm against him because he's disrespecting America. He's not being patriotic." Katha Wakatha. Okay. During that same time, Floyd fought Conor McGregor. I went to a bar to watch that fight with my lady from South Sudan, by the way.
Oh, just what to ask too. Well, go ahead.
I'm not dating no Taylor Swift, man.
Okay, I just want to ask that question.
Yeah.
Take care, you out here with someone from Mumbai or something like that.
she might be a Telly. She might be a Telly.
Nah, she's a Kushite. She's a descendant of the Kushites.
Okay.
So we were at this bar, and this bar is packed, like half black people, half white people. And I think you guys can pretty much tell who was who going for. And why this is important is Conor, the white people were cheering for Conor, and they were talking all this about Kaepernick not being patriotic. But Floyd Mayweather has never connected himself with Africa. As a matter of fact, there's a radio interview where he says, where somebody, like the interviewer asked him on the radio, like, "Oh, have you ever thought about, doing something for Africa or giving to an African organization?" And he said, "What has Africa ever done for me?"
For me, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so Floyd has been an American nationalist his entire career, and McGregor is an Irishman, and white people were cheering for an Irish. The same white people that said Kaepernick is not about American nationalism, they were cheering for a foreigner. So it behooves us for us not to do the same. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you.
Facts. I agree with 100%.
But like the brother said, Mayweather was America first, and America first is what that is. He wasn't about black first. So he's a capitalist guy. A very great fighter. But the reality is that his mentality was America first. If you look at all the women he dates, they are racially ambiguous. And I mean, it's very difficult. I understand the Gaviites in the room and their perspective, but it's very difficult to support a man when his mentality is not even in the same along the lines of the mentality of race first. It's very difficult, man.
I understand that. I couldn't. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big Mayweather fan at all. Not just because he reads on the 6th grade level or something, but I just can't really get behind the guy, right?
Wow.
But I'll say this though. I'll say this though.
Why are you giving Mayweather a jab like that, man? Come on.
Don't worry, he could defend against it. Not really, but so like, but I even when he fought Pacquiao, and I actually used to like Pacquiao, even when he fought Pacquiao.
Are you saying he can't read the defense?
No, he can't read it. Right? So like when he fought Pacquiao or who was it? Maidana or something like that. Like I always pull for him still because I know that, like the brother was saying, Otengo was saying, like when he fought this white boy from the UFC, you had so-called Americans, white Americans with Irish flags and all kind of shit out there. You know what I mean? Rooting for this white boy who didn't stand a chance in a boxing ring with this guy. So I think we're supposed to do the same thing as well.
I don't.
They promoted it, but they promoted it like.
Hold on. I
Go
don't
ahead,
like
brother.
I don't like Mayweather either, but no other man going against him, I'm gonna root against Mayweather. That's how I feel. I'm not a Mayweather fan because he's not for us, technically. But it's just like Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson may not have been a Muhammad Ali, but what Jack Johnson achieved is to show the Cro-Magnon that you can't beat us genetically.
Jack Johnson was also cupcaking with a lot of white women too.
No, I
Yeah, he went to
understand.
jail for going across.
Yes,
Yes, the man actors
not
because
that-
of him.
I understand that, but what I was what? So who you going for, Jack Johnson or Fury? Who you was gonna
No,
go for?
I still pulling for Jack now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
The reason why R. Kelly's in jail is because of Jack Johnson.
Yeah, the man actor.
Yeah.
That's real talk.
Hey, Koku, I hate to cut this short, but I do gotta go. I know that
that white woman tell you bring your ass
Yeah,
to bed.
she been listening to this conversation. She was like,
South Sudan, nigga. I from South California. What are you talking
Go
about?
make me a mayonnaise sandwich.
Bring your black ass to bed now, before I don't make you drink piss in the morning too. But anyway, thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate it. I haven't seen you in a while, as a matter of fact, but I'm glad that you came through.
No problem, man. You guys continue to support Bitter Medicine, the Matreon, all the other harsh reality, pro-black perspective, and then there's these three brothers that I watch on YouTube. Their show is called Kush Convos. It's after the Kushite Kingdom of ancient Africa. I might know one of the brothers pretty well. But
wait, do you know him or you don't know
Right,
him?
because I just follow him on Twitter. Yeah, like I just found him on Twitter. So yeah, do you know him?
Man said I might know him pretty well. No, which is it? Do you know him pretty well, or you don't know him? You talking about Ochanda, right?
Yeah. We're both from Kenya, so we don't know each other personally, but we're from the same tribe in Kenya.
So you don't know this fella. Get out of here with that. Well, I might know him.
No, go good. That's his guy. You know how we do, black people. Yeah, he's from my neighborhood. That's my dude. I know him.
Yo, tell him to drop by.
Yeah, tell him to come. Tell him to come to the conversation, brother.
All right.
I actually tried to get Ochanda to join the podcast network, but he never responded. Because Kush Convos, I liked the first. I think they did 5 episodes. The first 3 I liked in particular.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have some pull with your boy there, that you don't know, let him, remind him, come through and join the network.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to him. I'll see. He has 2 other guests or 2 other hosts that he has to, get a consensus about. So maybe it's the 2 other hosts, that are the issue. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. All right. But thanks for coming through. All right.
No problem, man.
Respect.
Yeah.
Peace, bro. Peace, guys.
Yes. So, that was the last prompt for tonight. Does anyone have any last thoughts on that prompt or any of the prompts that we talked about tonight?
Nah, this was
great show.
Was funny.
Yeah, great show.
Thank you, and thanks to you guys again. These shows Shoot the Breeze is particularly good, and even the other live streams that I do are good because when you guys come through and lend your voices and stuff like that, you guys make the dynamics much better. So I appreciate you guys too, and I appreciate you guys who submitted Shoot the Breeze topics, Erzuliism, Daily Affirmations by Pauline, and of course the Revolutionary Matron. You guys put up all the posts tonight, and I appreciate all of you. Before I go, I just want to remind you guys that this show is a part of a podcast network. The other shows you should be checking out, like the Harsh Reality Podcast, that just dropped a new episode where they're interviewing what's the brother's name again? Is it damn it, I forgot. Common Hotep. So make sure to check them out. Check out the Pro Black Perspective, who I'm sure will be on tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. and the Revolutionary Matron, who will be back on schedule. Yeah, Canon Hotep is who we interviewed. Who will be back on schedule. The Revolutionary Matron with her show, The Learning Curve, should be back on schedule this week as well. Also, if you guys know, seeing that we had that conversation just now with Otenga about Kush Convos, if you guys know of other small YouTubers who you think their voice will fit in well with what we do here at KWAZ Radio, by all means, have them check this out.
Have you ever considered joining KWAZ Radio? Each of our hosts shares their unique perspective with you. You might have a perspective that needs to be shared. If that's true, hit us up at kwaz.radio@gmail.com. What are you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Yes, sir. So I want to thank you guys. Let me go through everyone who was here tonight. I want to thank BB Rodriguez for being here. Chaka came through. Daily Affirmations by Pauline. Thank you. KW Dawn 7. Want to thank you as well for coming through. Janelle, thank you for coming through as well. And everyone else who was on the panel earlier. Mr. Untouchable is still here. Thanks, bro, for being here. And thanks to the Revolutionary Matron and Azuliism and Otenga for coming through. I appreciate all of you guys. I'll be back on Tuesday with a premiere where I'm reading the book from the book Nation Building. And, you know, I'm going to be doing my thing again Tuesday, Thursday, and we'll be back here next Saturday shooting the breeze. Make sure you guys come through. As you see, it's a good time when we come through here on Shoot the Breeze. So you guys come and hang out with us next week. Mr. Untouchable.
All right, bro. Respect, man. Respect, man. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Before you go, what's the latest news on that Columbus statue in Nassau?
The last thing I know about it is just the guy. They was arguing whether they should rebuild it or whether they should just really take it down. Some people was arguing on the show the other day. This mulatto historian was arguing about whether they should put it back up, and he was going into Columbus's history and past and all that nonsense. But I doubt it. It only comes around when we have these discussions about Heroes Day and all that nonsense. Nothing's gonna happen, man. They're gonna put that shit right back up because it makes money. It brings in tourism.
Yeah.
And white tourists like to look at themselves when they come to other countries like this. So it's nothing happening. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Ain't that the truth, man? All right. Thank you again. Go ahead.
Appreciate you, man. Yes, appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. We'll see each other next week, guys, in the chat. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until next time, you guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.